Seriously.
SpongeBob?
I know I haven't watched them all, so... No, try that one.
When I'm flying, thanks to Air Canada's fast, free Wi-Fi for members on flights within North America. I can stream, scroll, email, text, and even game, all while soaring at 30,000 feet. So yeah, I'm never AFK. Thanks, Air Canada.
July 16th, when you buy a Tim's coffee, you'll help build a better future for Canadian youth and help them write the story they deserve.
Mario Kart World is about to go bankrupt. No, not the game, although if they keep trying to sell it for a ridiculous $80, then maybe. I'm talking about the world of Mario Kart World, because as it turns out, this little go-karting extravaganza is creating a massive bubble for the Mushroom Kingdom, and one small pop will send the whole world economy into freefall. Hello Internet! Welcome to Game Theory, the show that's ready to fire up its engines because after waiting for more than 11 years, we finally have ourselves a new Mario Kart game. And from the very moment I saw the first trailer for Mario Kart World, I knew I had to do an episode on it. But in true Game Theory fashion, while everyone else has been clamoring over the open world, the diverse courses, and the ever-important inclusion of cow, there was something else that really got my motor running. The economy. Surprise, surprise, the high school nerd is more interested in math than motorsports. But it's kinda hard to ignore. I mean, have you looked around the courses? Plastered on barricades, billboards, and banners of every single corner of this karting-themed world are advertisements. Fortunately, we haven't quite reached Call of Duty levels with real companies advertising in-game. Instead, these are in-universe companies. Things like Grohl Metal, Cooper Construction, and Dolphin Marine Sports. Obviously, many of these companies are named after Mario characters, both the iconic and the not-so-iconic. Heck, even Batterdon has his own aero parts company. You remember Batterdon, right? The Moai-looking enemy from Super Mario Land? Who could forget? But clearly, when the Mario characters are not bumping carts and hosting parties, they're being successful entrepreneurs. But Mario Kart is a competition, after all. So it got me thinking, who is the best of these business people? What if we took the businesses being advertised in Mario Kart World and compared them? Who is actually bringing in the most point? A simple question, I thought. A way to whip up some spreadsheets and do some calculations about one of my favorite Nintendo franchises. What could possibly go wrong? Well, tens of hours and over 100 companies later, I did end up getting my answer, but in doing so, I found something else that I didn't expect. The world of Mario Kart World is about to experience an economic calamity, and not the Ganon kind. Although Link is in this series now, and so I suppose they could add him too. Trust me,
Hello.
this is going to be a
I'm just
wild
finishing
ride.
up the,
fasten those seatbelts and
I love you,
pedal to the
Elmo.
metal, because
I
the
love you,
economics of
Elmo.
Mario Kart World start in 3, 2, 1, go.
Super glue won't
Get started
hold.
on Wednesday, June 18th at 7 p.m. EST.
These new
you can
eyeballs
join
I
me
got are
right
not
here on Game
exactly
Theory as
my
we
favorite.
theorycraft about Secret of the Mimic live. I'll have just finished my playthrough with Ash over on GTA, which will be linked in the description. And so it'll be time to lock in and with your help, figure out what our future theories are going to be. Remember, that's Wednesday, June 18th at 7 p.m. EST. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it. But now, back to the video. I started by gathering a list of every single company that advertises itself somewhere in the wide world of Mario Kart World. That
There's
meant
this
playing
film on the
a
back of
lot
these.
of Mario Kart and losing a lot of Mario Kart because go figure, the other racers didn't want to stop and wait for the guy staring at signs. But I noted down every one I could see, and it turns out there's a lot more than I bargained for. This game has 130 companies advertised throughout the various tracks. Some of them are pretty generic, like fried chicken, too much flavor, which is the most Santy-sounding business I have ever heard. Or they're branded around Mario items. And while companies like Banana Natural Oil are no doubt important to the economy in this universe, it's not going to help us figure out which character is winning the battle of the businesses. Donkey Kong may have a lot of them, but he doesn't have a monopoly on bananas. Although, even excluding those, we still end up having a list that's 118 companies long. But this is where we really begin to start heading down the Monty Mole hole. We may have all the names of the businesses owned by our colourful cast of characters, but we still have no idea how much they actually make. And since Shigeru Miyamoto did not respond to my request for the Q4 earnings reports for all of these companies, I guess I'm going to have to get creative here. You see, these may be fictional businesses, but the products they're promoting do reflect products and services that we see in the real world. So we just need to find equivalent companies in the real world and use
There we
that
go.
company's
As
financials
I
in
should
place
all
of the
see
Mario.
them.
Specifically, let's take a look at the company's annual revenue, the amount they make before taxes and expenses. Also, unless it's clear that this fictional company is really small, it's probably best that we assume the equivalent companies are the largest in the world. Yoshi's Hamburgers being equivalent to something like McDonald's with a bunch of global locations. So, because this is Mario Kart's world, after all. You not only have to be big enough to advertise, but also have a global audience. No point advertising your local pizza joint to a bunch of people in a foreign land. Plus, if multiple companies all occupy the same industry, like the not one, not two, but 3 different courier companies that exist in the Mario Kart world, rather than arbitrarily trying to assign each one to a specific company as if one is better than the other, which is data we just don't have, just average a couple of the real world industry leaders and assign the same value to all of the Mario corporations. So with all the rules out of the way, let's finally find out which of our favorite characters is the true wolf of Waluigi Street. And who better to start us off than Mr. Jumpman himself, Mario. It is his name on the box, or the virtual game card. Anyway, I thought that would make figuring out his financial status the easiest, but Mario actually has some pretty diverse business dealings. Just look at this ad here.
The kill switch case, the Switch 2 ID brand. Everything the Switch 2 can do, the kill switch can too. Detachable Joy-Cons. Perfect. Friction fit. Ooh, a strong travel cover. Over 100 pounds of crush-proof protection. Screen protector application. Ergonomic grip. Ergonomic. The kill switch case for Switch 2 ID brand.
Fucking
Available now. Save up to $35 by going to dbrand.com/game theorists. Link in the description.
Well, that was weird. Anyway, where was I? Oh, right, Mario. If we take a look at the ads around the track, we can see 5 companies that bear the iconic plumber's name. The first, longtime fans of Mario Kart should recognize, and that's Mario Kart TV, the media company that's responsible for filming and broadcasting all of the karting shenanigans. The closest IRL equivalent to that would be something like ESPN, the US-based sports channel that airs Formula One, and they have an annual revenue of approximately $16 billion. As you can see, we're not dealing in the minor leagues here. These guys are playing with some serious cash. But that's just Mario's first business. He also has not 1, but 2 racetracks under his plumber belt. Mario Circuit and Mario Bros Circuit. And before you say, a racetrack, that's not a business, tell that to Silverstone, the racetrack that hosts Formula One's British Grand Prix, which brings in an annual revenue of over $129 million. And speaking of the Mario Bros, there is an official Mario Bros company in-game as well. It's not particularly clear what exactly this business does, but considering that the logo looks just like the original video game, back when our boys were just humble plumbers clearing out pipes, I think it's safe to assume that just like in the Mario movie, this is their plumbing business. But given that they're so busy these days saving princesses, going go-karting, and hosting parties that are totally not rigged, they'll likely have had to grow the business so that they can continue serving the international market that desperately wants to have their pipes cleaned by the famous brothers. Now, the biggest plumbing business in the world is a company called Roto-Rooter, and their 2024 reports tell us that they have an annual income of $700 million. Of course, Mario is probably going to have to split the Mario Bros circuit and business with Luigi, but right off the bat, Mario's portfolio is already looking strong, with $16.5 billion in annual revenue. But Mario Jumpman Mario has one more trick Scarlet sleeves. Mario Motors. Because there are 4 other motoring businesses in the Mario Kart world, we can just take the top 5 motoring companies in the world, Volkswagen, Toyota, General Motors, Ford, and Mercedes, and average their annual revenue out to a whopping $236,580,000,000, bringing Mario's grand total to just over $253 billion. Ha! Take that, bro, in your pitiful little 500 mil mansion, but maybe Luigi has taken that nice starting amount of cash and gold bars and invested it back into the market? No, not really. Other than the 2 companies he shares with his brother, Luigi only has one other company that we know of, Luigi Tires. Another lighting comparison here is Michelin with an annual revenue of $28.29 billion. His grand total is still way.
Oh, I thought we were going to recreate that photo.
Couldn't find it.
Yeah, that was built by them. Oh.
Plus PC from Best Buy.
Hello, Mr. Matt. You want me to take Luna over?
What if dogs actually liked what's good for them? Pedigree pouch, made with real leader poultry, as healthy as it is tasty. Experience Pureology sulfate-free hair care, 100% vegan. No formulas, no parabens or mineral oil. Up to 75 uses per bottle. Pureology, made to feel.
With the TD student banking package, you could get up to $535 in value.
Montreal's unique vibe awakens something within you.
Painfully small compared to his brother. Needless to say, Mario may be a jerk, and Luigi isn't helping himself on the brains front. The rest of the Mario cast vary wildly in their numbers. Daisy, with her air freshener business and shared patisserie with Peach, only sits at 1.5 billion. Yoshi hits 26 billion with Yoshi's Hamburgers, and Toad stands at a cool $65 billion. Of course, much like in the real world, not all of these businesses are on the up and up. Case in point, the meme lord that is Waluigi. While Waluigi's vintage clothing business appears legitimate and snazzy, if I do say so myself, his other business is so. Waluigi Tires appears to just be taking Luigi tires and slapping a big old wham on the front of the name. Hilarious, but definitely illegal. Sorry, Wa, I love your memes, but I love math more and I can't accept thievery. DK also falls a little short, only making 13 billion a year with his various tracks and rocket booster businesses. I guess being a spacefaring multi-billionaire doesn't do much for you in the Mario world, although that's probably from that. On the flip side, Peach, Bowser, and Rosalina are also in the car business, and thanks to Peach's movie career, resorts, stadiums, patisserie, Bowser's castle track, and Rosalina's bus tours, they all just barely miss out on being part of the quarter trilly club behind our boy Mario. However, you may be shocked to learn that actually none of these characters are sitting atop the entrepreneurial podium. Yet even Mario, with his 253 billion, doesn't even scratch third place. So who does? Well, second and third actually came as a bit of a surprise because they aren't part of our more famous group. These two obscure characters only have one business each, but those companies, to use a car metaphor, are lapping the field. The number 3 overall business person and number 3 overall company is everyone's favorite money bag, literally Coin Coffer. Coin Coffer Bank is seemingly the only bank in the Mario Kart world, and so it's only right to compare it to our own international financial giant, JP Morgan Chase, whose annual revenue is $260 $178.9 billion a year. And the second largest company in all of Mario Kart World, with an estimated revenue of $329 billion, belongs to the most memorable character in all of Mario, Hotfoot. Yeah, you guys know Hotfoot, right? The little flame guy that jumps from the candles in Mario Bros. 3. Well, I guess he was able to take the royalties he made from that game to make Hotfoot gasoline, the ExxonMobil of this. Checks notes. Karting World. If only he'd invested in one more business, then his single business wouldn't have lost to the man who stands tall at the top of the leaderboard. 10 feet tall, to be exact. It is, of course, Wario. Because when you think of money in Mario, who else is gonna come to mind? Unlike Luigi, who's just sitting on all of his wealth, Wario is making money moves. Not only do his companies generate more revenue than most other characters, he's also diversified and has the most companies of anyone at 7. Wario, more like Warren Buffett. He's got his own car business, a completely separate engine company similar to something like Cummins or Yanmar, a courier service like DHL, UPS or FedEx, a scrap metal gig like Sims Metal, and 2 racetracks, one of which is a stadium that can double up as the host of the Twiller Swift Eras Tour. He even has a gaming company, Wario Games, and those little bouncing noses remind me of a certain spin-off series, WarioWare. Intelligent Systems is the company that makes those games for Nintendo, alongside Paper Mario and Fire Emblem, so their numbers are what we're going to use. It's not the most lucrative of the businesses, but hey, maybe he just loves wafus. Anyway, when added up, Wario's business empire has an estimated annual revenue of, drumroll please, $356 billion. There is technically one single business that actually trumps even Wario by a country mile. Firemart, which seems to be this world's version of Walmart, which would then give it an annual revenue of $650 billion just on its own. But the Fire Flower isn't a character, it's an item, and so it doesn't count. And therefore, Wario is our winner and the most entrepreneurial of our characters. Obviously, there are way more characters that dove headfirst into the sushi trend. 53 to be precise. But sadly, we'd be here all day if I just listed them out. And while I'm sure penguins are someone's favorite, penguin bobsledding is not a lucrative business venture, making at best $260K in revenue. However, while they may not match up to the likes of Wario on their own, what about if you counted them all together? After all, it's not just the individuals that benefit from all this revenue. The countries and kingdoms they reside in get to make a pretty penny by charging them tax, meaning those 53 loose ends alongside our regular gang all add up at the end of the day, and the winner there would be a pretty incredible economic superpower, you know, providing these businesses actually pay their taxes. So let's take all the companies we've talked about today, from Mario Motors to Magmar Diner, as well as a few of the others we disqualified earlier, to get a sense of which kingdom has the most entrepreneurial spirit.
Seriously, you're just a little bit short.
It's not clear which character might own a company like Banana Natural Oil, but it is pretty clear that this company is likely headquartered in DK's homeland, the Jungle Kingdom. So it only seems fair that Banana Natural Oil and its estimated $8 billion in revenue should fall under the domain of the Jungle Kingdom as well. Once again, at the very bottom of our list is sadly Daisy's Sarasaland. Yeah, remember when Daisy had her own kingdom and wasn't just hanging out to play doubles with Peach? With Daisy and Batterton being the only Saracens with businesses that we know of, collectively they only just managed to bring in $40 billion per year. Next up is the Jungle Kingdom, where cranky subjects bring in an estimated $68.5 billion. Number 3, and the first on our podium, is Rosalina. While it's never really clear if she has a kingdom to call her own, she's got a crown, so I think it counts. In total, her and the Lumas, mostly on the back of Rosalina automobiles, bring in just over $237 billion per year. And that brings us to our top 2 kingdoms, which deep down, I'm sure we already expected would be here. Peach's Mushroom Kingdom and the infamous Bowser's Kingdom. But there's only one nation that can truly dominate the world of finance, and that nation is, second drum roll please, the Mushroom Kingdom. Alright, I know that may not feel like that big of a shock, but it is when you realize that the Mushroom Kingdom's nearly $2.1 trillion comes from just 13 entrepreneurs compared to Bowser's 33. Although it's really the item-branded shops like 1-Ups, Mushrooms, and Superstars that do the heavy lifting. Without those, the Mushroom Kingdom was sitting at just $600 billion, just a third of Bowser's $1.8 trillion. Maybe that's the real reason Bowser keeps invading. It's not that he wants to marry Peach or that he's fed up of losing to Mario. He's fed up of losing the economic game. might want to rethink that little strategy, because clearly he hasn't seen the writing on the wall. The shadow looming over all the companies of the Mario Kart world. You see, this whole theory started because of the sheer number of ads plastered around the world. And ads, they cost money. And these ads cost serious money. Formula One is one of the biggest motorsports in the world. Like Mario Kart World, F1 bounces around the globe putting on races for a global audience. And along the track, on billboards and on the cars, you'll see ads just like we see in Mario Kart World. According to one estimate, those ads for billboards and barriers can cost companies $1 to $5 million per race. And ads on the cars themselves, like the kind we see for Dory and her water company, can cost between $1 and $70 million per year. For that low end, all you're getting is a little decal that no one is ever going to see at that speed. And sure, while big companies like Mario Motors, Hotfoot Gasoline, and Coin Copper Bank can probably afford to dish out the dough, how can Penguin Bobsled, Captain Toad's Treasure Tracker, or Foo's Handy Aircaster justify spending that kind of cash? Can one multi-million-dollar billboard or car ad really lead to an increase in sales for Spike Spokes? And on top of that, most of these companies are probably already operating on such tight margins as it is. For today's example, we focused on revenue, the amount of money a company brings in each year. But that doesn't include a company's expenses, taxes, payroll, rent, and yes, advertising. For example, take Fire. As a supermarket, it's already operating on a profit margin of only 1 to 3% of its revenue. So for every $100 it makes in sales, it's only bringing home $1 to $3 in actual profit. And if you cut into that by purchasing a billboard alongside, oh, I don't know, the world's largest go-karting tournament, you're putting your company's financial future at risk. If you want a real-world example, look at what happened to Pets.com. Pets.com was an e-commerce business that used to deliver pet supplies back in the late 90s. Many of our Mario Kart businesses wanted to get their name out there, and so they decided to spend big bucks on a bunch of high-profile marketing campaigns. They had a float in the 1999 Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, and they even bought airtime during Super Bowl 34 in 2000. The only problem, despite being seen by tens of millions of people, they were never able to turn that exposure into actual dollars. And Pets.com shut down just 9 months after releasing their Super Bowl ad. Do you see where I'm going with this? Much like Nintendo, every single one of these fictional companies has tied their biddy buggies to the success of Mario Kart World. And they need it to be a big hit. They've thrown their money into these
Got a colonoscopy yesterday, so I didn't see anything weird in there, so that was good. Still pretty tired. Checking up on my friends. I'd prefer to be just reading fan fiction right now, but I haven't got time for that. I need a tongue. I don't know if I have one that's gonna be wide enough, or long enough, or weird enough. No, I need a straight one. I don't know if I have one. Maybe that one. Maybe that one. Might have to be that one. Okay. Yeah. We're gonna go with that one.
ads with no promise that they'll ever get any sort of return on that investment. If Mario Kart World is not as successful as they hoped, or if they just simply can't convert the eyeballs into serious coin, the Mario Kart World will see wave after wave of businesses going under. And what's worse, this isn't even a new issue. You can actually see it if you look back at older Mario Kart games. They are filled with companies that used to advertise in Mario Kart, but who have since stopped, presumably because they didn't make it. This has been an issue in the Mario Kart world for years, and yet nothing has been done to stop it. So a lot of these businesses are now going to be faced with shuttering their doors because of it, which will cause a cascade of economic despair for ordinary citizens of that universe. Meanwhile, the big corporations like Bowser Motors, Wario Stadium, and Mario Kart TV, who have benefited from the success of this global karting phenomena, will be sitting pretty on top of the podium. But hey, that's just a theory. A game theory! Thanks for watching. World premiere on Game Theory. The bolts in Ratchet and Clank are worthless.
So we are the first ever sensory-friendly restaurant in Canada. So we hire neurodivergent talents. We also create an inclusive space for everyone to dine in.
There you go. What do you think, Rover? Come on, Rover. Come on. Rover, I said go. Go now, Rover. Silly dog. Red Bull gives you wings.
With a taste of white peach. The new Red Bull Summer Edition. Wings for your summer.
My wild swing for the fences theory here is that this Super Mario movie is gonna be a musical.
Peaches, 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 peaches.
Nailed it. Fun fact, that song Peaches, yeah, that thing is now eligible for the Best Original Song Oscar. Academy Award-winning songwriter King Koopa has a nice ring to it, doesn't it? Hello, Internet! It's me, Film Theory, the show that definitely beat the obstacle course on the first try. So, the Super Mario Brothers movie came out, let me just say it was a blast. Was it high cinema? Kino, as the kids online say? No, obviously not. The pacing was a bit uneven, the random 80s pop song inserts just didn't work, and Peach's motivations for taking Mario with her on the adventure were weaker than a stack of Goombas. But darn it, if I didn't have a smile plastered across my face the second the GameCube jingle played as a cell phone ringtone, or when the brothers platformed their way through a 2D construction site, or when the DK rap kicked into high gear during Donkey Kong's WrestleMania entrance. So awesome. On that topic though, that was probably my biggest complaint about the movie. The creator of the DK rap isn't credited. Yeah, well, all the other songs have their writers and musicians properly credited. The DK rap is just from Donkey Kong 64. Real classy there, Universal. I mean, I know Seth Rogen said,
Objectively, one of the worst rap songs of all time.
but that doesn't mean that the man behind this masterpiece, epic game composer Grant Kirkhope, should be overlooked. Artists deserve to be credited for their hard work, and that includes the DK rap, no matter what Seth Rogen thinks about it. And the snub was obviously enough to upset Grant. So here's what I propose, loyal theorists. Let's work together to change the Mario movie. If you have yourself a Twitter account, go and use that toxic platform to do some good today. Tweet at Universal, or specifically at Universal Pics, P-I-C-S, asking them to change the credits in the digital release of the Mario movie to include all the proper credits for the writers and performers of the DK rap. And make sure you use the hashtag #SaveTheDKRap so we can get this puppy trending. If it gets enough attention, if media outlets and YouTubers and streamers start making enough noise with the story, maybe Grant and everyone else who worked on this thing will get the credit that they deserve for writing a song that so many people love, or at least me. I was so hyped when they played this. I will fully admit my bias here. I'm not usually the type to get really excited about nostalgic, like member-berry stuff, but man, that was an Easter egg I did not see coming, and it hit hard. But beyond the music, the missing credits, and the beautiful animations, we all know what I was really there to see: the lore. Let me tell you, my friends, there was so much in this thing. We here at Theorist HQ actually have a ton of ideas, and we're definitely going to be diving further once it's available to scour frame by frame. So super jump on that subscribe button right now so you get notified of when all of those episodes come out. But as of today, in true video game fashion, we're going to be speed running our way through 4 mini theories that may just change the way you look at these core Mario characters forever. Today we're covering everything from Peach's mysterious origins and the twisted logic of Mushroom Kingdom to the realities of the wider meta Mario-verse. So suck down a mushroom and design yourself a cart, friendos. Let's go! So let's kick things off with theory number 1. You cannot die in Mushroom Kingdom. What subtle detail that I think most people overlooked in this new movie is how they visualize the damage that Mario is taking. Through all of the punishment that he takes in the Mushroom Kingdom, Mario comes away basically unscathed. For instance, in the arena battle against Donkey Kong, Mario gets rocked. He's grabbed, smashed, tossed, slammed, and made into the equivalent of plumber Play-Doh. And yet, his body reflects none of that damage. He is literally on the verge of passing out. There's not a scrape or bruise on him. Either during or after the fight. It's a big deal, right? It's a Mario movie. What do I expect? It's not like they're gonna show the main character bleeding or something. Except that's exactly what they show us during the movie's final fight. During the final battle, all the characters are sucked back out of the warp pipe and launched into Brooklyn. And here, we once again see Mario taking a lot of hard knocks. Except this time, his body is showing all the damage, complete with a black eye and a bruise on his cheek. I mean, these sorts of design choices aren't made casually, especially for big feature film collaborations between two companies like this. And especially when one of those companies is Nintendo, one that's so protective of their characters that they gave Disney notes about how Bowser would hold his teacup in Wreck-It Ralph. It's also not like Bowser was rougher with Mario out here than anything we saw happen inside the Mushroom Kingdom. There are multiple occasions where both Mario and Luigi probably should have died during their adventures. Adding to this idea, early on in the movie we see Bowser use his flame breath on a disobedient Koopa, but instead of killing him, this act scorches off all his outer flesh, transforming that Koopa from a turtle into a dry bones. What this tells us is that people's biology seem to act differently across the different worlds or kingdoms of the Mario universe, and that, for whatever reason, the Mushroom Kingdom is one where your spirit or living self is somehow contained within the bones of your body. What this tells me is that in the final act of the movie, as Luigi is lowered down into the pit of lava and nearly burns to death, what really would have happened if that scene had continued would have been him turning into a living skeleton rather than immediate and permanent death. Still a downgrade from fleshy human status for sure, but hey, at least it's not death. So take a chill pill there, Luigi. Death only appears to be permanent if it's out in the real world. Theory number 2. Did you notice the cavalcade of Nintendo references that are packed into this movie? Of course you did. It's impossible not to notice them. There were so many in this thing that the new Rockstar's Easter egg video that breaks this puppy down is going to be longer than the actual movie. Some of my personal favorites, obviously the songs I mentioned earlier, like the DK rap, but there was also the Super Mario rap from their old TV show that was used in the commercial.
We're the Mario Brothers in plumbing.
All the construction signs have Game & Watch characters on them. That's really fun. There's the shot of Mario versus Bowser framed like it's a KO in Super Smash at the end. And that moment that Mario defeats Bowser by launching him with his tail. A direct callback to Mario 64. But it was the non-Mario game references that got me the most interested. Mario has a toy R-Wing model from Star Fox in his room. There's an F-Zero poster hanging from his wall. The Punch-Out Pizzeria is a big old nod to the boxing adventures of Little Mac, which is also fitting since Mario was the referee of that original game. There's also an Ice Climbers Easter egg on one of the awnings of the streets of Brooklyn. Whole scene of him playing Kid Icarus, which we're going to talk about a lot more later, but to me, it's what isn't there that stands out the most. In a movie that's literally a Nintendo victory lap, crammed full of every IP they got, the omissions are telling. Did you notice the distinct lack of anything related to Zelda, Metroid, Pokemon, Kirby? Well, that tells me that Nintendo has carved those IP out to shop around. I suspect that according to the contract, anything that appears in this movie would have to have been committed to a production in partnership with Illumination. And since those are the main IP that Nintendo is lining up to continue their multimedia movie push, keeping them out was an intentional choice to have them remain as free agents. Speaking of missing characters, the Mario movie is literally a timeline of Mario games. The whole thing begins with Mario and Luigi talking to Foreman Spike about their construction jobs and being part of the wrecking crew, and it all ends with Bowser's wedding where he wears the exact outfit from Mario Odyssey. Basically, this thing is giving you a complete picture of Mario across the years, beginning to end. And then they put in practically every power-up you want to see in this thing. Mushrooms, stars, fire flowers, sure, that's to be expected, but also mini mushrooms, Tanuki suits, ice flowers, the frickin' cat suit. That made me wonder, where could they possibly go next? When your first film is literally a highlight reel of 35 years worth of games, what else can you possibly include? Well, obviously, with Bowser temporarily out of commission, the next one has got to star Wario and our meme lord and savior Waluigi trying to nab Yoshi from Yoshi's Island. That one seems like a no-brainer. Maybe throw some Koopalings in there for good measure. And after that, we're gonna be taking a trip to space to explore some galaxies. Where finally, I'd expect we meet our last and most important character, Rosalina. And it's then, in the proposed third movie of this trilogy, where will be revealed Peach's origins. Which then brings us to theory
Do you
number
move?
3, Peach is a star. During the scene in
You were
Act 2,
stationary.
Mario, Peach,
Good.
and Toad are on their way to try and defeat the Kong army against Bowser's invasion. The trio spend the night in a field full of flowers. Mario and Peach use the opportunity to do some character development, telling each other and the audience about their backstory and motivations. And it's here that Peach reveals that she doesn't know where she's from. The only thing that she does know is that it's not the Mushroom Kingdom. It's here that we see her earliest memory, arriving in the Mushroom Kingdom from a pipe as an infant and then getting adopted by the Toads. Mario wonders if Peach could be a human, but he doesn't know that Peach reacts to this question. I doubt it. She just kind of softly smiles, turns away, looks up at the night sky, and says, "It's a big universe out there. The galaxy." No, that right there isn't a giant neon billboard spelling out theory base. I don't know what is. So obviously it seems like they're setting up some future films to explore Mario Galaxy stuff. And that stuff is going to be directly related to Peach's backstory. But I suspect we can actually get more specific here. Hear me out on this, but what if Peach is literally a humanoid star? One of the superstars that's somehow taken human form. Might sound like a stretch, but let's look at some of the evidence. If we look back at that scene where Baby Peach arrives in the Mushroom Kingdom, there's lots of little details that start adding to the theory. Firstly, Peach arrives out of a pipe that's constantly glowing, unlike Mario, who arrives in a pipe that flashes as it spits him out, but then turns entirely dark. That right there tells me there's some really powerful magic on the other side of that pipe. And the most powerful thing that we see in this world are the superstars. Would you know it, they glow, just like the pipe. Secondly, the skirt that Baby Peach is wearing in this scene is covered in a repeating pattern of stars and moons. A character's designed in an important flashback like this,
Not important.
put from everyone with the chain of command in both Illumination and Nintendo. So this detail is something that they 100% wanted in there. Thirdly, Peach is clearly powerful. Not only is she a capable warrior, but it also appears like she's always been powerful, since she was able to do the obstacle course that Mario struggles with on her first try. The only other time we see anyone as capable as her is when Mario and Luigi have the power of the superstar at the end of the movie. Also, this is a bit of a minor point, but I figured I should mention it. We also see both Baby Mario and Baby Luigi in the film. And both
Kinda like this one better. A little bit weirder.
Pupils without the white sclera around it. But Baby Peach, her eyes are fully formed. They're big and they're blue and they have a giant sclera. Probably has more to do with being consistent with the already existing designs of the baby versions of these characters that we see in the video games, but it does certainly add more evidence to the Peach isn't human pile. The babies that we know are humans have eyes that look this way, and the babies that might not be human but might come from outer space look like this. Another big point here, when Peach first meets Mario, she excitedly asks him, "You're a human. You are a human, right?" Before commenting that she thought he'd be bigger and asking where he came from. But obviously that then begs the question, how does Peach know what a human is? For someone who grew up with a race of fungus people since she was a literal infant, it's a weird piece of knowledge to have. The bigger issue here, though, is that kids lose their memories. At a certain point in childhood, usually around the age of 3 when they become verbal, they undergo what's known as childhood amnesia, the natural and gradual loss of memories from the first few years of life. In this scene, we see Peach using a pacifier, but also able to walk. Now, human babies begin walking anywhere between 10 and 18 months, and pacifiers can honestly hang around as long as parents are willing to let their kids use them. The long and short of this is that Peach in this scene is probably around the age of 2. And even if Peach were a human and knew about it at this age, that knowledge would likely have been lost as part of the childhood amnesia process. Instead, the knowledge of what a human is seems more like some sort of innate knowledge that an intergalactic traveler might have, or at least someone who's gotten a lot of knowledge about the different galaxies and the races that are contained therein. There's also a ton of evidence that we can actually bring in here from the games as well. In some truly ancient game theories that are almost 9 years old at this point, we talk about the origins and parentage of the character Rosalina, a space-traveling princess from the Mario Galaxy games, who is, quite literally, mother to the stars. Those theories are great, by the way. They hold up really well. They're old, but man, to this day they are some of my favorites that we've ever done. Anyway, to quickly summarize here, throughout Super Mario Galaxy, Rosalina reads from a storybook about a sad little girl in search of Luma's missing mother. Though it's never explicitly stated, the story is likely Rosalina herself. In the book, we see glimpses of Rosalina's mother, who looks an awful lot like Peach, who also herself Peach's earrings. We also see Rosalina's childhood castle, that has itself the exact same silhouette as Peach's, symmetrical spires on the sides and one large spire in the middle. Genetically, Rosalina's eye color, hair color, earlobes, and even her left-handedness all matched with Peach. And even the author of this storybook portion of the game has gone on record to say that his original intent was for Rosalina and Peach to be related. There's also the French translation of the story, which makes mention of a father's signature mustache. So isn't it suspicious then that the movie goes out of its way to further the connection between Peach and other galaxies? The filmmakers are outright doing everything in their power but spelling out Peach's Rosalina's mom in the night sky. Additionally, the captive nihilistic Luma Lee from the movie outright says time, like hope, is an illusion. Another point towards that old theory of iterative variance of the universe and the connection between Peach and the stars. I suspect that in movie 3 they'll be coming to this realization of the family connection, and then there will be a final reset of the timeline to start things all over again. Exactly what we saw with the original Mario Galaxy. And finally, that brings us to theory number 4, or I guess more observation number 4, as we talk.
Because you don't start, neither does Tucson. And with more than 9 out of 10 sold in the last decade still on the road, Wah keeps it going.
I've already misplaced the damn thing I just bought. There it is.
It's new table season. Schneider's. Serving new tables 2 straight.
We talked about earlier, we see Mario playing Kid Icarus on the Nintendo Entertainment System, the very first home console that Nintendo released stateside. Now, at first, you might be thinking to yourself, so what? Famous Nintendo product being featured as an Easter egg in a movie about Nintendo's biggest franchise. What's the big deal with that? Well, it's actually huge. You see, if Mario's a real person in this universe, that means that his games don't exist. Now, some version of Donkey Kong, or in this case, Jumpman, still exists in this universe. We see an altered version of the original Donkey Kong arcade cabinet in the Punch-Out Pizzeria, with a Yeti in place of DK and different humans in the places of Mario and Lady. But everything that Mario as an IP has touched doesn't really seem to be a thing in this world. The existence of the Punch-Out Pizzeria means that Mike Tyson's Punch-Out couldn't have been a game. In fact, Mario's complete lack of acknowledgement towards any of the Mushroom Kingdom, Donkey Kong, Koopa Army, Yoshi imagery, all of that means that basically nothing related to Mario Brothers or Yoshi's Island or Donkey Kong Country exists as video games in this world. Now, on the surface, that might not seem like much, until you remember that without the Mario games, there would be no Nintendo. See, when the NES hit store shelves, the United States was in the midst of the video game crash of 1983. Consumers didn't trust video games because there had been such a huge surplus of poorly made garbage games, like the infamous Atari version of E.T. years before. That sentiment was only able to get turned around when Nintendo released the Nintendo Entertainment System, marketing the thing as more of a toy than a video game, which proved games really could be good, actually. And the main way they proved that, the original Super Mario Bros. Platformer was a pack-in title for the console. Americans only started to trust video games again when they popped in Super Mario Bros. And saw that it was a high-quality, fun game. And the numbers absolutely reflect this fact. The Nintendo Entertainment System had a launch lineup of 17 games, including the likes of Kung Fu, Hogan's Alley, Gyromite, Sight Fight, a lot of ones that, you know, really set the world on fire, clearly. And then, of course, you had the creatively titled games like golf, pinball, baseball, and of course, there was also Mario. And of that group, Mario stood head and shoulders above the rest. Of the NES's top 5 selling games, 3 of them are Mario games. Super Mario Bros. Alone as a pack-in title for the console sold 40 million units. It is one of the top-selling video games of all time. Those Mario games at the top of the list total around 65 million units sold. The only game in the top 5 to not be a pack-in or Mario game sold 8 million. Zelda, Nintendo's second highest performing IP, only sold 6.5 million. And don't even get me started on Kid Icarus, who couldn't even crack the top 30 with only 1.7 million units sold. What I'm trying to say here is that without the Mario games, the NES likely wouldn't have caught the public's attention, and Nintendo likely wouldn't have survived the changing era of entertainment. Heck, video gaming itself may not have existed as a medium, considering that Mario was the game that won back everyone's trust. At the very least, the industry would have likely been set back by at least a decade from where it is today. No Super Mario means no new revolutionary 3D video game controls with Mario 64. That then translates to no new 3D platformer revolution, leading to games like Banjo-Kazooie, Spyro the Dragon, and Ocarina of Time. Mario Kart, no Super Smash Bros., completely omitting two of the most impactful and highest-selling video game franchises of all time. And the lackluster growth of video games would probably also translate to differences in the Sony PlayStation and Xbox.
Cool faster, I'm busy.
This is without even touching all the ancillary businesses like the CGI tech, all the amazing lighters and shaders and game engines that have been built off the backs of gaming, and all of that gaming off the back With Mario being a real guy in this world instead of a video game character, it means that one of the other Nintendo IPs had to have been the one that spearheaded the revival of video gaming as we know it. And based on the fact that Mario has F-Zero posters and Star Fox replicas, but no Triforce merch, no Kirby plushie, no Samus calendar, it means that none of them were made into games in this universe. In short, what we're seeing in the Mario movie is a timeline where Kid Icarus is the killer app for Nintendo's rebirth of gaming. All its vertical platforming, all its eggplants, all of this. Oh no, we've entered into the darkest timeline. But hey, that's just a theory. A film theory. And the wild success of the Mario movie and the rest of us series, I expect we're going to be seeing a lot more of these video game tie-ins in the future. I mean, we're already apparently getting a Minecraft movie led by Jason Momoa, and I shudder to think about what we're going to have to talk about on this channel when the FNAF movie finally comes out, but we'll be there. So if you want to see what theories we come up with when those movies start releasing trailers, smash that subscribe button.
No, you won't. Because you retired.
Staples has everything you need for work, learning, and life, so you can get back to living, because crushing your to-do that was easy.
When I'm flying, I'm still connected. Thanks to Air Canada's fast, free Wi-Fi for Aeroplan members on flights within North America. I can stream, scroll, email, text, and even game, all while soaring at 30,000 feet. So yeah, I'm never AFK. Thanks, Air Canada.
Hello, Internet! Welcome to the project of making a singing bear come to life and the infuriating moment that his dream is copied by a rival restaurant franchise looking to steal away his success. The merger of the two franchises results in William meeting Henry, a brilliant designer with a knack for robotics. Working together, they make Fredbear's flourish, spawning popular Saturday morning cartoon shows, toy lines, and spin-off restaurants under the Fazbear name. When last we left him, Afton was thriving, the world of robotics opening his eyes to new and exciting ways of bringing character to the story. Because with life, there is inevitably death, something that Afton will become intimately familiar with. But before Afton acquaints himself with death, I want you to take some time to acquaint yourself with our newest channel. Guys, this is a huge moment for us theorists. For the last decade, we've had this 4-player controller icon, and now we finally fill in the final missing piece. Get ready for the rollout of our newest theorist channel. Drumroll, please. Style Theory, where we're looking at the science, math, psychology, history, and mystery of the way you look, your clothing, fashion trends, hygiene, and makeup. Now, I know that theorizing about style might sound weird at first, but hear me out. I grew up not understanding style or fashion at all. Admittedly, I was a bit of a hot mess, blissfully ignorant to the impact that style has over your life and how the world treats you. But over time, by educating myself on the ins and outs of the fashion industry, I was better able to achieve my true self and find my own sense of personal style. And that right there, that builds confidence. The way that you look directly affects the way that you feel and the way that other people treat you. So understanding those rules and being able to take some control over all of that is incredibly valuable. It's an educational curve. And what do we do on these channels? We like to educate you while entertaining you, which honestly is why I think this channel is so important for us to launch. There are so many lies and half-truths in the fashion industry that they're easy to give me the excuse to bludgeon a ballistic head to death using a high heel. It's also the channel where we're gonna physically be testing the viability of female armor, or how many t-shirts it takes to stop a bullet. There's also practical everyday stuff too on this channel. Do school uniforms actually benefit the students? Does it make a difference whether or not you wash your legs in the shower? That's the sort of stuff that you can find on this new channel. In fact, there are 5 new episodes that you can check out right after you finish this beast of an upload. I personally recommend starting with the Killer Heel episode, because this episode's all about the birth of a killer. And while you're over there, consider subscribing. It'll do all of us over here a huge favor, because if we manage to get 1 million subscribers by the end of the month, it'll put us as a top fashion channel here on YouTube. Show the world that looking smart can be even better than looking cool. So go ahead, enjoy your all-day theory marathon. Now with our logo complete, it's time to complete our other massive ongoing project, this timeline. Onward to part 2, where things are about to get dark in a hurry. 1983, business was booming with 2 whole restaurant franchises running, Fredbear's Diner and the newly opened Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. Together, William and Henry had been able to take the hybrid suit idea and make it into a reality. They called their new invention the Springlock suit. Fittingly enough, it was symbolic of the partnership between these two men. A human suit as designed by William that could become a freestanding Henry-style robot. But because it was still new tech with kinks to work out, the rollout was limited, restricted only to the Fredbear's Family Diner location. All of this meant that William was busier than ever. He didn't have time to be a full-time parent, so he designed a nanny cam system where cameras and speakers were hidden throughout the neighborhood, as well as in his youngest son's favorite toy, Psychic Friend Fredbear. I mean, plushy Fredbear. But since cameras just weren't enough to raise a kid, he also left child...
Sure. Try to pick something. Oh, the surveys.
SpongeBob SquarePants isn't stupid. Yeah, despite playing dumb and innocent for the past quarter of a century, SpongeBob SquarePants is actually a secret genius. And when you take that to the logical extreme, this adorable yellow rectangle might have some truly dark intentions. Hello, Internet! Welcome to Film Theory, the show where F is for film theory, U is for you and me, N is for anywhere and anytime at all, so why not subscribe for new videos every week? So at this point, no one needs an introduction to SpongeBob SquarePants. I mean, everyone knows him. Absorbent and yellow and porous is he, and if you don't know him, well, you're basically living under a rock with Patrick. Honestly, one of the most impressive things about SpongeBob SquarePants is just how much staying power it's had. The show first aired on Nickelodeon all the way back in 1999, last century, and it's never left. It has a pretty classic cartoon formula. SpongeBob and his friends get into some silly adventure every week in the town of Bikini Bottoms, some slapstick comedy ensues, at least 2 memes are born, complete disaster is averted, and everything starts all over again next episode. It's a classic format that's created some of the most iconic parts of internet culture. Seriously, there's a meme you almost certainly recognize from basically every single episode of this show. And with a brand and characters that strong, it feels like everyone knows their deal, right? Mr. Krabs is greedy, Squidward is a tortured artist, Sandy is from Texas, Patrick is dumb as rocks, and SpongeBob himself is so naive and innocent that it borders on him being a complete idiot. Or is he? Is SpongeBob actually a secret genius? An intelligent... Just to be straight up with you loyal theorists, when the team first came up with this idea in our writers' meetings, I thought it was both incredibly silly and incredibly fun. And honestly, those are the best types of episodes. Oh, we're watching an old school cartoon and taking it way too seriously? Hell yeah, brother, that's some dumb fun and I'm here for it. And honestly, when you do look at the evidence, there's a shocking amount of it pointing to SpongeBob being much more intelligent than he lets on. And if we keep pulling that thread, soon it becomes clear that he's doing something truly dark and vile with that intelligence, all for his own sick amusement. Yes, really. So are ya ready, theorists?
Aye, aye, Captain!
I can't hear you!
Aye, aye, Captain!
Let's go! So it's kind of obvious that a lot of the secret ingredient for the formula of a SpongeBob SquarePants episode is that SpongeBob here isn't exactly the sharpest spatula in the kitchen. His lack of intelligence and seeming innocence are a huge component to basically every plot line in the show. And hey, scientifically that makes sense. Yeah, sea sponges, which SpongeBob is based on, actually don't have brains or even a nervous system. Yeah, they're just kind of vibing out there in the ocean, just chilling out. So checks out that SpongeBob would be brain dead, yeah? Well, here's the thing. Sponge is shaped, and because of that, when he wants to, SpongeBob shows a lot of factors of intelligence. For example, in the episode Squid's Day Off, SpongeBob is able to quickly and accurately shout out tons of ways to make change for $1.
Elon. With Nicorette, I'm finally quitting for real. I'm facing the cravings. The triggers. Refusing to give in. That's real quitting. The journey wasn't easy, but real freedom is worth it. With Nicorette, you're up to 5 times more likely to quit. Nicorette, quitting made real.
Only to be used by adults who are trying to quit smoking. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is highly addictive. Meet Priya. She makes bank with EQ Bank. Her EQ Bank personal account lets her move forward without monthly fees holding her back. So she always stays a step ahead. Keep going, Priya. Make bank.
4 quarters, or 10 dimes, or 20 nickels, or 100 pennies, or 1 quarter, 3 dimes, 7 nickels, and 10 pennies.
Now, if it were just those smaller breakdowns like 4 quarters or 10 dimes, easy peasy. But when you start getting into the larger and varied numbers, it can quickly become challenging. This right here is an example of mental math and shows SpongeBob's strong numerical reasoning skills and ability to quickly process information. All of these mental skills engage the parts of the brain responsible for memory, attention, and logical thinking. And studies have shown that, in general, people who master mental arithmetic will have a higher IQ than those who don't. For what that's worth. But it's not just math that shows this sponge's brain power. SpongeBob is also very artistic, way more so than other characters like Squidward, and this is shown time and time and time again in the series. With basically no effort, SpongeBob is able to draw a well-rendered face, fold paper origami, and sculpt a block of marble into a finely detailed statue. All of this alone would be incredible works of art, but on top of that, more studies have found that creative people typically have a higher IQ. Again, for whatever that's worth. Sculpting that statue in particular would require SpongeBob to have incredible spatial intelligence. That's the ability to visualize and manipulate 3D objects in your brain. Basically, it's transferring a mental image you have in your head into the real world. And as someone who's tried making those clay pots and statues before, I can tell you firsthand that this is not easy, especially with something as unforgiving as marble. And all of this isn't even mentioning SpongeBob's incredible musical skill. I mean, my man played at the Super Bowl. Even SpongeBob's choice of career as a fry cook could hint at his intelligence. Yeah, high-class chefs in higher-end restaurants are considered higher intelligence individuals. And hey, that makes sense. They need to problem-solve quickly, make decisions constantly, prioritizing certain dishes over others, and adapting to variables presented by each ingredient. All of those are critical thinking skills often used to measure someone's IQ. Now, you might be thinking, hey, SpongeBob isn't really a high-end chef. He's a fry cook at a fast food restaurant. Can that really apply here? And the answer is yes. While we may not traditionally associate flipping burgers with intelligence, SpongeBob is different. In the episode The Big Switch, when SpongeBob is transferred to a fancy restaurant, his work is revered by the chef, who praises his culinary skills.
This taste is fantastic!
And the customers love his cooking so much that when it's time for him to go back to the Krusty Krab, no one wants him to leave. They straight up cling to his leg to make him stay. And then in the episode Neptune's Spatula, SpongeBob's cooking is so good that King Neptune spits out his patty to enjoy it a second time. There are just tons and tons of more examples, but you get the idea. SpongeBob has nearly unmatched culinary skills on top of his exceptional creativity and ability with music. The long and short of it, SpongeBob is no
Is that the top or is that the bottom?
but he's an intelligent creature, perhaps one of the smartest in the whole series. So, there. Theory done, right? Slap some red text on a thumbnail and let's call this a day. Well, not exactly. Sure, yes, I think we've done more than enough here to explain that SpongeBob is much smarter than he lets on. But, so what? What does that mean for the rest of the series? Well, first of all, in the canon of the show, the fact that SpongeBob is this smart should mean that he should be miserable. Here, let me explain. This actually comes down to how intelligence is portrayed in the rest of the series, particularly with one Squidward tentacles. And that comes down to Squidward's anatomy. Yeah, despite the name Squidward, he's actually an octopus. Mind-blowing, right? But for real, this is important because an octopus actually has 9 brains. One in their head where you'd expect to find a brain, and one in each of their tentacles. Because of this, octopods are considered one of the smartest animals in the ocean, and much, much more intelligent than the likes of, say, a starfish or a sponge, like Patrick in SpongeBob. Yeah, like we said earlier, sponges don't actually have brains or a nervous system. And did you know that starfish also don't have brains? Also, a side note, but I guess SpongeBob and Patrick having brains really lines up with that theory that Bikini Bottom is an irradiated wasteland from the nuclear tests at Bikini Atoll after World War II. Anyway, several studies and articles have discussed how people with higher intelligence have a higher risk of suffering from depression. One of the factors here, intelligent people often feel misunderstood by the less intelligent people in their lives, which is definitely the case for Squidward. Obviously, this isn't the case for everyone, and it varies from person to person. Intelligence doesn't have a cause and effect relationship with depression, but sadly, they absolutely are often found side by side in several subjects. And at least in the world of SpongeBob, there is a correlation between intelligence and happiness. In the episode Patrick Smartpants, Patrick suddenly becomes very intelligent after a bit of misadventure with SpongeBob. All of a sudden, he's no longer amused by SpongeBob's antics, and the two grow apart. But by the end of the episode, well, I mean, just listen.
Knowledge can never replace friendship.
He realizes that he'd rather be stupid and happy than sad and alone. And this is also what's driving Squidward. He feels just so much smarter than everyone else in Bikini Bottom that it's left him feeling isolated and misunderstood. So, if SpongeBob is actually smart, and being smart in this world seems to make him
Can't do
miserable,
that.
why isn't SpongeBob miserable all the time? Shouldn't he be just as sad as Squidward or Patrick when he had his big Markiplier brain? Maybe, but perhaps SpongeBob is finding a way to vent that sadness, that frustration, taking those negative feelings out on someone in particular, making someone else's life absolutely miserable to make his own just a little bit better. Yeah, you know how Squidward always seems sad and seems to hate SpongeBob? Maybe that isn't just because he finds SpongeBob annoying. Maybe it's because SpongeBob is intentionally hurting Squidward, mentally, emotionally, and physically. Yeah. Okay, listen, I know that's a big claim. I get it. It's out there. But when you go back and watch the series looking for moments where this happens, it comes up surprisingly often. For example, sometimes SpongeBob will take the pranks that Squidward pulls on him and turn them on their head, making them backfire on Squidward. In the episode Funny Pants, Squidward tricks SpongeBob into never laughing again because it annoys him, resulting in SpongeBob falling into a deep depression. This causes him to cry loudly, a sound that Squidward ultimately hates even more.
I think I found the one thing I hate more than his laugh.
In Naughty Nautical Neighbors, Squidward tricks Patrick and SpongeBob into no longer being friends after their laughter ruins his cooking. But they both just end up independently annoying Squidward even more than before. And in the episode Squid on Strike, when both characters go on strike, it ends with both of them out of a job. And SpongeBob ends up just annoying Squidward all day, every day. You get the point. Basically, every time Squidward tries to control or hurt SpongeBob, it never works as planned. It always backfires. Now, it would be easy to point to all of this and just say that it's normal animated TV karma. Squidward was mean, so he has to face the consequences by the end of the episode. Does SpongeBob really have to be involved in all of that? The reason for it? And hey, I hear you, but that doesn't take into account all of the times we see SpongeBob trick Squidward himself. Just a few examples. In the episode Idiot Box, SpongeBob and Patrick are having fun in a cardboard box, but when Squidward wants to see what's in the box, he sees nothing. SpongeBob explains that Squidward just has no
imagination.
He can see that this basically triggers Squidward and ends up with Squidward sneaking into the box later and pretending to drive a race car, though in reality it's just a garbage truck taking him to the dump. SpongeBob kind of broke Squidward's mind here and left him in a terribly embarrassing situation. But it doesn't stop there. It's not just his ego he hurts. He also hurts Squidward's wallet. In the episode The Paper, SpongeBob goes all out, making just a single piece of paper appear so valuable to Squidward that he ends up trading everything he owns for it, only for Patrick to come along and use it to throw away chewing gum, leaving Squidward with nothing. And if that wasn't enough, he even gets Squidward physically injured in life-threatening situations. In the camping episode, SpongeBob warns Squidward about the dangerous sea bears and all of the things that can attract them. Squidward, of course, doesn't believe in sea bears and does all of the things that SpongeBob warns against. And when a sea bear doesn't show up, SpongeBob says,
Maybe it's because you're not wearing your sombrero in a goofy fashion.
And of course, a sea bear immediately shows up and attacks Squidward. SpongeBob could have just done nothing here and spared Squidward from that pain. But instead, my man more or less used reverse psychology and got Squidward mauled by a sea bear. And man, this isn't even the only time this sort of thing happens. In jellyfishing, SpongeBob takes Squidward to go jellyfishing while he's in a full-body cast, leaving him to be attacked by the mother jellyfish. In restraining SpongeBob when Squidward burns his hands, instead of pouring water on it to soothe the injury, SpongeBob accidentally pours it on the floor first, before Squidward's whole body ends up in a frying pot. And then in Choir Boys, when Squidward is trying to ignore SpongeBob, SpongeBob decides,
This giant pothole ought to get his attention.
and this straight up causes Squidward to crash and get launched into a jellyfish field where he gets electrocuted. And just the cherry on top here, we know for a fact that SpongeBob isn't innocently stumbling into these actions that hurt Squidward. No, he's deliberately annoying him, deliberately hurting him, aware of just how much he gets on Squidward's nerves and how much pain he causes him. Here, check this out. When SpongeBob celebrates the day that he and Squidward first met, the photo album full of his favorite memories of Squidward, they're all just Squidward being miserable, or straight up in physical pain. SpongeBob has designated days that he especially annoys Squidward.
Do you know what today is?
No, it's Squidward Day.
No, silly. That's on the 15th.
This guy straight up has annoying Squidward marked on his calendar. And when Squidward even communicates that he dislikes SpongeBob, that he wants him to stop, SpongeBob acknowledges that he knows.
SpongeBob,
Yes, Squidward.
you know I right?
Yes, I do.
And even when Squidward tries to get a restraining order against SpongeBob to protect himself, SpongeBob instead just gets Patrick to act as a middleman, resulting in more agony for Squidward. Really? This right here? This adorable, childish sponge? In a show where there isn't really a true, obvious evil villain? Like,
Alright, let's go get the live stream shut down. Hmm. Hmm. Oh, hi. Don't mind me just finding something to listen to for a minute. And I'm not finding my playlist for some reason. It's weird. Okay, we'll just go with another one of these.
Skip the pricey produce aisles and start growing your own veggies at home with Miracle Grow Organics. 100% organic ingredients for 100% organic harvests. Miracle Grow Organics, no better way to grow.
I know what you're thinking.
Just waiting for shit to
It's
dry.
corporate greed. We've been through this. And you know what? You're right. I'm not even gonna fight you on that one this time. But if I'm starting the video by saying that, you can trust me when I say that there's so much more to it. And by the end of the video, you're not just gonna understand their greed, you might even be thanking them for it. Hello, Internet! Welcome to Food Theory, the only show that can ask the same question 3 times and get a different answer every time. And here we are, 3rd time's the charm, because we're getting the obvious thing out of the way first. It's greed. Big surprise. Companies like money, and they like making money. Dislikes include things that are not money and not making money. But Five Guys feels like it's become an extreme outlier on the price front. I recently went back for a short and ended up paying $40 for 2 burger combos. Like, dude. And that is not an exaggeration. I got receipts. Even if Five Guys is more premium than, say, McDonald's or Burger King, that's still outrageous prices for fast food. So, what gives? Well, let's look at the usual suspects, shall we? Because, well, at the end of the day, it is the company trying to maximize profits. Seldom, if ever, do they just release a statement saying, we want to make more money, lol. No, they wrap it up in language and excuses.
There we fucking did it. Broke the neck.
Choice. They're just business people trying to make it through.
Happier now.
Forget the fact that they cleared over $3 billion in sales this year. They're barely staying afloat. The first familiar face we come across is inflation. Something we've talked into the ground in the previous 2 episodes, but there's another aspect of inflation to take into consideration, especially with the inflation rate thankfully decreasing. And that is the fact that while prices will usually go up with inflation, they don't always go down with it. Instead, what happens is that the prices are going up at just slows down a bit. That's why inflation at the time of writing for this episode may be at a 3-year low, but prices are still about 20% higher than they were before the pandemic. But this isn't me hand-waving away a $20 burger combo. Absolutely not. No waving here. This
I have to go drug the cat.
Reality that
I gotta go drug the cat.
Important things that goes up with inflation.
You're annoying.
Employee wages. And
Alright, I gotta go drug the cat and we'll be back in a minute. I forgot what time it was. I should try that again, actually. Where's the dehumidifier? Oh, whatever. dropped off. Alright, sorry about that. I'm back. What'd I miss? He's still kicking, period. Let's see. Okay. Nope, that's too cold. I can't work in this. There we go. Alright, back to work. Found it.
Honestly, that's a good thing, but when inflation goes back down, it's not like Five Guys can suddenly say, JK, there goes your raise. If they did that, you can guarantee the dogs of the company would get pelted with those free peanuts for the rest of their lives. So instead, they keep costs at the price point they've been at to pay employees their wages and keep God forbid that they cut even $1 into their profits. Otherwise, their vacation plans might have to change from first class to gasp. Premium economy. But if you're a normal person planning a trip somewhere, make sure to check out the sponsor for today's video, Saily. Saily is an eSIM service app brought to you by Nord Security that lets you choose affordable plans to make sure that no matter where you go, you'll always have an internet connection.
Yeah, I'm farting again.
I tell you, I wish I had this for my honeymoon trip to Japan. Because when you're surviving off of naps and translation apps, the last thing you want is
How it feels to chew 5 gum. Stimulate your senses.
XL refreshers. Do it feels fresh.
want is to be somewhere without Wi-Fi. And Saily is so easy to use. Even someone as bullheaded as Tom can get started in no time. All you have to do is download the app, buy a plan, install the eSIM, and activate it when you're ready, and biggity bam! You're connected wherever you are, no matter what phone you have either. All I'm saying is I wouldn't have had my own incident at Shibuya had I had Saily. Don't be like me or get trapped like Gojo and download Saily using the code FOODTHEORY at checkout for 15% off. The best part is that thanks to Saily, you can minimize roaming fees, which can almost get as expensive as 2 Five Guys burgers. It's literally money in your pocket, and if you're ever struggling, they have 24/7 support. I should clarify, support for the eSIM. If you're in the fetal position because you're abroad and didn't realize that the last burger at the airport depleted your vacation fund, you're kind of out of luck there. But the 24/7 support will make sure that you'll be able to connect with a shoulder to cry on.
Nope.
So use the QR code on screen now, or use my code FOODTHEORY to download Saley and save 15% off at checkout. Thank you, Saley, for sponsoring today's video. Now let's go back to burgers and fries. Meeting the minimum for human decency when it comes to paying their employees what they're worth isn't exactly the culprit for the cost, though. The big talking point you see, and the one their CEO even addresses, is how expensive the ingredients are for their food. So just how wages go up with inflation and stay there, so do the prices that the suppliers of Five Guys' ingredients set. In the CEO's own words, if the mayonnaise guy triples his price, they pay triple for the mayonnaise, and then they'll increase the price of their product. It doesn't necessarily mean they'll triple the cost of the burger because of the mayonnaise, but when it's the mayo, the ketchup, the lettuce, the cheese, and the patties that are getting tripled in price, it all adds up. And it may suck, but at the end of the day, they do need to keep making money because they are a business. I know I made a few jokes earlier at their expense, but the fact of the matter is, if they start hemorrhaging money, they'd be closing shop faster than Mike Tyson signing the contract with like Jake Paul for the easiest $20 million of his life. But in researching for this episode, two things stuck out to me: how cheap the rest of the menu at Five Guys is, and how heavy their burger is. Let's start with the menu. Outside of their burgers and shakes, Five Guys is pretty reasonable. The hot dogs hover around an average of $8, while the other sandwiches, like the veggie sandwich to the grilled cheese, live between the $5 to $7 range. That's not even including the free peanuts I mentioned being chucked at the Five Guys section earlier, or the infamous extra scoop of fries everyone gets greasing up the bottom of their bag. Seriously, I know Matt and I have had this discussion very publicly already, but what is up with that? Don't get me wrong, I'm not one to look a gift fry horse in the mouth, but I just hate reaching in and coming out with a fresh coating of grease all the way up to my elbow. Point is, Five Guys is weirdly laissez-faire when it comes to the quantity and cost of their other food items. That is because they'd rather charge more for the hero of their menu and let people think that they're saving money on other things like the fries. I'll be the first to admit, when I got angry about the price of the burger, but realized I had gotten a pound of french fries in the bag, it definitely helped. So basically, they front load the cost of everything on the burger so that they can keep giving out those free peanuts and bag fries. The other edge to this sword, though, is that you end up paying for things that you might not even want to begin with. The best example of this is all the toppings Five Guys provides. I've made it a point in other videos in the past that their customization options are phenomenal, and they're all free-ish. See, the price of the burger not only factors in the extra fries and the peanuts, but the toppings as well. So even if you're someone that likes a plain cheeseburger, you're still paying for the A1 sauce, barbecue sauce, ketchup, mustard, mayo, relish, onions, tomato, lettuce, mushrooms, peppers, and pickles. Yeah, the free toppings are bologna, which is funny because bologna is pretty much the only thing that isn't a topping. In fact, the whole menu being cheap is pretty much bogus because every burger you pay for means you're paying for a piece of the whole menu. So unless you're taking advantage and getting every topping, fries, going for refills, and chowing down on these, I mean, they're free nuts, you're leaving a lot of money on the table. But it's not all bad news because, like I mentioned, the other thing that caught my eye is the weight of the burger. It is a hefty boy. Each Five Guys burger patty comes in at about 3 ounces for a total of 6 per burger. To put that into perspective with a competitor, McDonald's burger patties on the Big Mac clock in at 1.5 ounces for a total of 3. So the meat in the entire Big Mac is only equal to one of the 2 Five Guys patties. Ooh-wee! Talk about hitting your protein goals for the day. Considering the average cost of ground beef in the US is between $5 to $7, this would mean that each burger from Five Guys has anywhere between $1.8 to $2.6 worth of ground beef in it. McDonald's, on the other hand, gives you between 94 cents to $1.30 worth of meat. And like we've established, the Big Mac prices don't really make 1 and 1 equal 2 here. So basically, with a hamburger with no cheese costing me $10.29 by itself, that means 20% of that price is accounting for just the cost of the meat. That means 2 things for you. 1, considering the only other thing that comes on the standard hamburger is the bun, and I doubt it makes up for the other 80%, that's a lot of extraneous costs on a plain burger. But 2, 20% is a big part of that final cost. And considering that ground beef has risen over $1.50 in the last 5 years, from $4.23 to $5.89, that's a large part of the final cost that Five Guys has to make up for. Any small fluctuation in meat costs will impact the burger in a huge way. But as long as the price of meat keeps going up, the price of the burger should too. And that's a good thing. Fact of the matter is, so long as they're increasing their costs accordingly, that means they aren't skipping corners or skimping out on meat. Looking at you, Sonic, with your mushrooms blended into your meat. It's been a year since Matt and I did the Frankenburger episode, and I'm still salty about it. Back to the point. I'm not the only one that thinks that the rising prices is a good thing. Chef and restaurateur Andrew Zimmern also shared opinion in an interview, saying that, yeah, with the price of bacon and beef, if you're paying less than $12 for a burger, you probably shouldn't eat it. So yeah, Five Guys is expensive because of corporate greed. At the end of the day, they have to make money. And not just make money, but have continuous profit year after year to keep functioning as a business in this world. That said, their greed is transparent. They fully acknowledge that they have to keep their margins steady, but they continue to provide beefy patties, pun intended. And so long as their prices adjust for the cost of beef, no matter whether it's an increase or decrease, it means that you can rest easy that what you're getting in that burger is 100% never frozen beef. Same goes for all the other ingredients whose price is fried into the burger. Basically, if their prices stayed the same or even dropped with the rising costs of everything, that would be far more worrying. But hey, that's just a theory. A food theory. Bon appetit. And hey, if you want to hear more about expensive fast food, click the link on the screen now. And as always, I'll see you next week.
Montreal's Unique 5 awakens something within you.
There we go.
How far would you go to control the fragrance in your home? There's an easier way. Try Airwick Vitamins with 2 times more natural essential oils for up to 130 days of amazing fragrance for dual pack. Now that's a breath of fresh Airwick. Try Airwick's Essential Mist Diffuser. Transform your space with a fragrant mist.
Burger King is giving away $1 million to whoever can make their next offer. Now, obviously, I've seen people all over YouTube trying to win this, showing off their entries. But I noticed that they're all going about it the wrong way. I've seen people use things like truffle, caviar, Wagyu beef, all things that would make a Whopper worth $1 million, but not win $1 million. You see, Burger King's actually planning to put this on their menu, and I don't really see Burger King piling on truffles for burgers all over the country. So today, we're throwing our spatula into the kitchen and showing our 3 entries to win this competition. But if we want to do that, we're going to have to go about it the theorist way. See, with these 3 burgers, we're going to keep 3 things in mind. 1, we have to keep costs down for Burger King so that they can make more profit. From there, we also have to make it cheap for consumers because, let's face it, no one wants to go to Burger King and spend $15 per burger. And last but not least, it has to be delicious. So with those 3 things in mind, we're going to have ourselves a surefire winner that'll keep customers and the King's pockets full. Hello, Internet! Welcome to Food Theory, the food show that also builds bridges. What am I talking about? Well, we haven't been the kindest to dear old Burger King over the last couple of ever, but that's all going to change today, because I'm going to not just make amends, but a menu item for them. So, earlier in the year, Burger King announced their $1 million Whopper competition, an open call for the Burger Kingdom to submit any and every wild Whopper topper combo to potentially earn a $1 million grand prize and a limited time only spot on BK menus nationwide. At the time of writing and filming this video, it's the last week of entries, so I hate to be the server of bad news, but by the time you're watching this, entries are closed. But just because it's too late to enter your own challenger into this BK Beef Off doesn't mean you're going to leave empty-handed today. Because in addition to seeing the highs and lows of my journey to become the Kingmaker, my goal is to provide you with a fresh Whopper recipe. A recipe for the burger that I believe every fast food restaurant, not just BK, needs to add to their menu. But before we heat up the grill or start shopping for ingredients, we gotta steal Tom's shtick and do a bit of game theory. So Tom, Stay over there. You don't have any lines in this one. Anyway, this is a competition, so if we're gonna win, we need to know what's allowed, how we're being graded, and try to read between the lines to suss out what Burger King is expecting from a winning burger. Only then will we be able to devise our unbeatable strategy. I painstakingly read through all of the fine print of the $1 Million Whopper competition, and here's what we need to know. Starting with the Whopper itself, each entry in the competition has to include either BK's flame grilled beef patty or a vegan impossible patty. Additionally, we can only sandwich this between the standard BK bun. Sorry, but no pretty patties here. Where we are allowed to insert our creativity is with the 3 to 8 toppings that'll make our Whoppers unique. We mostly have free reign to put any ingredient we want into our burger, provided that the ingredients fit the 3 criteria. Obviously, all the toppings chosen have to actually be edible. For safety reasons, we can't include common allergens like peanuts or shellfish. The king also specifies that we cannot add any kind of beverage to our burger, so crafting a Coke marinated Whopper melt is a no-go, even though it would be right up our alley. The official rules also tell us exactly what the judging process will look like. After the contest submission period comes to a close, Burger King will have a panel of judges select 3 finalists based on 3 key categories: feasibility, popularity, and innovation. And here is where our strategy will spawn from. Feasibility is worth 40% of the final decision, and is the most heavily weighted of the 3, making it the most important criteria for us to consider. This means we need to focus on the availability of ingredients, their cost, and whether it's something that restaurant kitchens can easily store, prep, and use. So, adding an expensive white truffle cheese to our Whopper might taste delicious, but Burger King won't see it as cost-effective or easy to source. Likewise, any item that takes too long to prep, can't be made with the kitchen's appliances, or even takes up too much space in the deep freezer will get the axe. Next, BK will assess popularity, worth 30% of a burger's total score. And this, theorists, is where you can come in. See, if you want to help our Whopper get picked, there's a public voting period later on where you can actually vote for our entries. If you want to get updates for that, make sure you click the subscribe button below so that you can help the Food Theory Whopper be the winner. Aside from that, this score will also be based on the expected appeal of the Whopper to the widest range of BK diners. So, although there are sure to be some unique, one-of-a-kind combinations, those aren't what they're looking for. The king actually wants to sell these burgers, and apparently the B in BK stands for basic. Burger King will, however, take our Whopper's innovation into consideration for the final 30%. They'll evaluate culinary creativity, including how well each topping captures an authentic flavor or highlights a particular culinary tradition. They're also looking for a new twist on classic combinations that combine toppings in a brand new way. Finally, this category will consider
Oh god, you're fucking annoying.
appeal of the final product. If the Whopper looks mouth-wateringly good, it'll have an advantage against a less appealing competitor. Every entry then had to be submitted through Brilliant, an AI that not only approves the toppings, but spits out an image of what your burger may look like. After a few practice rounds of the least appetizing burgers I could dream up, a few things became clear about Brilliant. First, ingredient order doesn't matter, which unfortunately means we're going to have to throw away the results from our previous burger food theory. Secondly, even though we're allowed 8 ingredients, sometimes the AI image just prints out a selection. Not to be that guy, but this breakfast burger is actually supposed to have this on it. Grillium only shows me strawberries, pancakes, whipped cream, and chocolate. Literally inedible. Luckily, after checking, the AI images are purely for marketing. The judges will be making their decisions off the full recipe submitted and not the fever dream food that Grillium cooks up. So we can just disregard these digital burgers altogether and focus on the fixings. So
Don't waste your money on
I do not have
cheap
fingerprints.
The real deal with Miracle Grow. Packed with essential nutrients to grow strong, healthy roots. Miracle Grow garden soil is your secret sauce for a healthy, beautiful garden. Miracle Grow, the better way to grow.
If you're going to commit to a manicure, commit to a Skittles manicure.
Commit to the rainbow. Taste the rainbow.
So with all of that squared away, we're going to get started with our first burger. And to make sure that it's popular among the consumers, we decided to look for inspiration at none other than the most popular burger on the market, Big Mac. Plus, I figure it would give me a couple of troll points, not gonna lie. And luckily, with that idea, we're going to be using ingredients that Burger King already has readily available in their kitchen. So their supply chain should be ready for this. While I get to cooking, let's explore exactly what's considered feasible for burger royalty. Obviously, BK's supply chain is a huge factor in what they deem reasonable to serve. A restaurant's supply chain is the network of product goes through from farm to meat. Not only does this include the farmers that provide the meat and vegetables, as well as the line cooks that do the cooking, but also the truckers that deliver ingredients and the managers that take care of the logistics. A lot of restaurants might deal with third-party distributors, but BK is established enough to have its own supply chain company, Restaurant Services Inc., dedicated solely to their needs. That actually makes any common ingredient sourcing cheaper for them than if they had to negotiate contracts with some unaffiliated supply chain company. Now, if we choose to source something rare, like say white tiger meat, that might be a costly challenge for BK and RSI. But for the most part, standard burger toppings should be easy peasy. As for what the fast food joints can actually keep fresh, we're dealing with an environment that wants to minimize prep time and maximize efficiency. So we want to prioritize ingredients that can be pre-made and that will keep for weeks in the restaurant's walk-in refrigerator/freezer. We also want to minimize the amount of space our ingredients take up in that storage, so the less single-item ingredients, the better. Double-dipping recipes with other menu items can go a long way in keeping our burger's feasibility high. So sticking to the tried-and-true lettuce, onion, tomato, pickle combo is a sure bet. The tricky part was what would be the mac sauce. See, AI would only allow a total of 8 ingredients like I established, and Big Mac sauce wasn't a valid option, so I had to stick with boring old Thousand Island. But I'll let you in on a big secret, folks. Big Mac sauce, not Thousand Island. Now this moment right here is really important to me. Back in our Frankenburger episode, I dropped the truth bomb that Big Mac sauce does not contain ketchup. Some of you reached out and were like, what? It doesn't? Yeah, no, it doesn't. Listen to me. It doesn't. The red hue in Big Mac sauce comes from none other than paprika. That is where that comes from. If I see you putting ketchup in your Big Mac sauce, I will go pee in your pants. I swear. I gotta say, this is a huge pet peeve of mine. And I know what you're thinking. Santi, that's ridiculous. Well, so is ketchup in your Big Mac sauce. With that squared away and the patties nice and cooked, it was time to assemble the Mac Daddy burger. And, one burger in, and I was already starting to lose my mind a bit. Not a good omen of things to come. One final cheese. But Santi, Big Mac only has one slice. Yes, we're improving it. We're trying to make this a winner, people. No matter how you feel about that extra slice of cheese or the tomatoes, you have to admit it looks delicious. Oh my goodness. Look at this. Do you see this right now? That is amazing. But the taste is what we're here for. All right, moment of truth. Let's see how it all comes together. Look at this bad boy. I don't even know if I can fit this entire thing in my mouth. I see the trouble Matt had on Food Theory with being, not put out of context. Oh my god! Wow! I need a napkin. Oh boy! Ah! I should have seen this coming. You're going for another bite. Yeah, that was amazing. I needed a minute. The combination of all the flavors just worked so well. There's nothing groundbreaking about it. Like I mentioned, it's all ingredients that any location would already be stocked with, which will keep BK's accountants happy. Unfortunately, there may be one glaring issue with this entry. As it turns out, Burger King has tried to rip off Mickey D's crown jewel plenty of times in the past. The Big King, the Double Supreme, King Supreme, all BK's attempts at hamburgling the Hamburglar. My mistake here is that this recipe isn't currently in rotation, partially because McDonald's has been suing Australia's Burger King, aka Hungry Jack, over it for the past few years. Hungry Jack actually recently won that lawsuit, so I wouldn't be surprised if there's a return of the Big King soon. But yeah, might be an uphill battle with this Whopper. So instead of looking at the competitor for inspiration, in the second entry, I decided to look at Burger King just a little bit closer. I wanted to keep with a goal of sticking to ingredients we know Burger King has no issue sourcing. But now that I've certainly committed their menu items to memory, I came up with the idea of combining some of their more popular limited edition Whoppers together. The thought here is that not only are we nailing the feasibility and popularity categories with tried and true Burger King ingredients, we're also getting innovation points by throwing together a Whopper that is wholly unique. So how did I come up with this monstrosity? Well, the first stage was surveying all of the promotional burgers BK has previously showcased, from red Spider-Man burgers to black bun Halloween Whopper. It's a shame that Grilliam doesn't allow colored buns because clearly it's a marketing hit. But besides that, the first thing that immediately jumped at me was that a substantial number of these burgers were built around heat. This made it easy to keep a workable flavor palette. We take the jalapenos from the 2006 Texas Whopper, add the pepper jack cheese from the Indiana Jones Crystal Skull Whopper, and the spicy queso from the 2022 Ghost Pepper Whopper. To build out even more contrast, I pulled out the crispy bacon from the California Whopper and took the smoky A1 sauce from their Halloween version. For my last ingredient, I wanted to honor some of BK's more bizarre promotions. Apparently, in 2022, a single Berlin BK was serving up pregnancy craving burgers exclusively for expected mothers-to-be. Now these disgusting combos are bad, but they also provide plenty of variety. I know how many of you are secretly hoping I'd add ice cream or fish to my recipe, but I'm nabbing those fries and not looking back. Not because I'm afraid of those ingredients, but because we have a popularity score to worry about, which, after tasting, definitely needed to worry about it.
This was a mistake. Let me go for another bite. No! Why?
Seriously, nothing about this burger worked. There's a reason why these ingredients were used on separate Whoppers, but even then, I feel like it wouldn't have worked in their own respective burgers. Is it logical from a practical standpoint for Burger King? Absolutely. Is it going to win the popularity category? Most definitely not. So for the final entry, I decided to shift focus slightly. See, the first two burgers focused more heavily on the two categories I've been referring back to, feasibility for Burger King and popularity. But there's one final category in the competition that I want to highlight with this last entry: culinary creativity, or how well we highlight a particular cultural tradition. That meant getting a little more personal this time around.
We're going to be taking a classic Argentinian appetizer or sandwich, however you want to call it, the choripán, which is essentially just chorizo and pan, bread, mashed together. You put it together, it's delicious. Some people put tomato on top, and most people put chimichurri, or chimichurri. It's saying Argentina instead. It's weird. Anyway, for those of you not familiar with chimichurri, it's a sauce or condiment that Argentinians often put on their meat. In fact, it's the only thing other than salt allowed on there. It's composed of a lot of oil, parsley, oregano, garlic, and vinegar. There's also some variety from person to person in some other things, like red pepper flakes or chilies to add heat. The exact origins of it are a little hazy. Some say that it has roots in Basque settlers in Argentina, while others say it comes from an Irishman who signed up to fight for Argentine independence, and that the name chimichurri actually comes from the English name Jimmy McCurry. Yeah. No matter what the origin though, the sauce is now forever linked to the country's cultural identity. So we're set and ready to go, but there's actually one final thing I have to do. A quick wardrobe change.
What do you want from me? I have a flair for the dramatic. And before I sizzle some patties, I want to point out just one more thing. Chorizo is an ingredient that's popping up more and more around the country. You may see it now in breakfast burritos and Mexican dishes, but this is not that kind of chorizo. Mexican chorizo, the more popular kind in the US, is made primarily with vinegar and chilies, which makes it spicier and gives it a reddish hue. And Argentinian chorizo is made primarily with red wine, oregano, and garlic, which gives it a full-bodied, earthy flavor that pairs perfectly with chimichurri. Speaking of which, with my chimichurri ready to go, it was time to finish off the patty and assemble this bad boy. Is that a serious question? No, Jason. The sizzling pan was surprisingly brisk. Ridiculous questions aside, the chori patty was actually looking delicious, and I couldn't wait to dig in.
This is looking way better than the Burger King Whopper, just right off the top. The Whopper had nothing on this.
XL refreshers. Do what feels fresh.
Wow.
Am I a little biased? Sure, but it was good. I even had to get Jason to come in to try it. Unfortunately, his palate is clearly not refined enough for this burger.
I think it might be a little bit too on the earthy side for Burger King. I might
want a little bit
mix the chorizo with the beef for one patty rather than two separate ones.
That's blasphemy. But you know what?
Here, I'm gonna take another bite.
Oh, okay. See, he can't stop. He can't stop himself. That's what you want, Burger King.
It is good. I also haven't eaten in 3 days because I've been working on this set.
We did read the caveat.
They don't feed us at all.
And I will continue to not feed you after this. But the takeaway here is that for curmudgeonly Jason, that was a glowing review. But how will it stack up to the competition's 3 criteria? Let's start with feasibility. Luckily, most of the ingredients on this burger are already well known to the King's Kitchen, so it won't be difficult to acquire and store the cheese, vegetables, and condiments used for the choripán burger. Really, it's the chorizo patty and the chimichurri that's going to be novel for BK Kitchens. Thankfully, a pre-made chorizo patty is just as easy to find fridge space
for as beef or Impossible Burger patties. And raw chorizo can last unopened in the freezer for up to 6 months, or in the refrigerator for about a week. Technically, raw chorizo lasts longer when stored than beef patties, which should be used within 4 to 6 months of freezing or 3 to 4 days of refrigeration. Chorizo is also less expensive than beef. A 12-pound bulk supply of raw beef patties costs roughly $78 total, while the same amount of raw chorizo patties costs about $64. Likewise, the chimichurri sauce should be easy enough to make. In a traditional kitchen, prep time usually only takes a few minutes for a fresh batch, but Burger King can also ship the sauce in bulk. Frozen chimichurri can last up to 3 months, and refrigerated, it can last for at least 5 days. I know for a fact that these ingredients are feasible for any Burger King to incorporate because several Latin American BK menus already cycle in seasonal choripan burgers, and the UK recently introduced chimichurri burgers to their menu as well, which means we're also checking off our next category, popularity. There's already a proven market for these particular Whopper combinations internationally, so it stands to reason that BK will inevitably want to test these flavors with American consumers. My Whopper is that opportunity. Finally, let's talk criteria 3, innovation. By its very nature, my Choripan Whopper is already a spin on a cultural classic. Growing up, I used to eat these all the time, whether it was birthday parties or family gatherings, you name it. And not only does it carry the Argentinian seal of approval, its iconic taste profile is criminally untapped by American fast food chains. And this may be the King's golden opportunity.
Don't just take my word for it, take Jason's. And Burger King, you gotta look past our rocky history. I know that we've had our opinions about your food in the past, and we haven't been the kind. I know that I started my journey as host bashing your spicy chicken sandwich into the ground repeatedly where it belongs. But I think this could be the start of something new, something great. Please give our Whopper a shot. And for the rest of you, we'll make sure to keep you updated because there will be a public voting stage where you can help us get our Whopper onto Burger King's menu. That's it for now. And remember, that's just a theory. A food theory. Bon appetit. Theory's 1-year YouTube anniversary is fast approaching, but here's a little secret, friends. Steph and I actually shot the first Food Theory episode 2 years ago. See, back in the summer of 2019, we made an episode about all-you-can-eat buffets, just to see if this whole wacky food theory thing had legs. Yes, that is me on a green screen sporting my pre-St. Jude live stream haircut. Our worry at the time was that it would be tough to make Food Theory episodes visually interesting. Game Theory gets to show a bunch of game footage and characters. Film Theory gets to show a bunch of TV and movie clips, but food just kind of sits there, you know? Like, I guess you could do an Italian themed, like a spaghetti or pizza episode, but really not a whole lot to go off of. But I do think it's safe to say that at this point our fantastic editors found a way to make it work in the traditional theorist style. So green screen Matt Pat went through the dinosaur pretty much immediately, though legend has it that if you say his name 3 times into a mere 3 a.m., green screen Matt Pat will appear to you. I'm gonna make you regret those words. So anyway, we made this episode back in 2019, then a year later in 2020 we launched this channel in the middle of a global pandemic, and since nobody was going to restaurants at the time, we decided maybe it wasn't the best idea to lead off with a buffet episode like we had planned. But now buffets are opening back up from sea to shining sea. We're taking this opportunity to release the lost episode of Food Theory, what was supposed to be one of the first Food Theory episodes ever. So please enjoy this test pilot episode of Food Theory and admire just how far development of an idea can come, because boy howdy, this episode is a lot different from what it eventually launched as. And as an added bonus, I'm also packaging in the rough, semi-incomplete first draft of the Food Theory intro. See if you can spot all 1 trillion things that we changed before we landed on the final polished version. Hello, Internet! Welcome to Food Theory, the show that stuffs you so full of knowledge, you'll wish you were wearing sweatpants. And since this is YouTube, studies show that there's actually a 41% chance that you are wearing yourself a pair of these, so you are in good company, my friends. Today's topic is one that I take very seriously and that affects literally every single one of you out there watching right now. Now, I'm not talking about serious stuff like GMOs or superfoods that promise to make you live forever. No, the secrets that I'm sharing today will serve you much better than that. In fact, I hold the keys to the kingdom of the all-you-can-eat buffet. When I tell people that I love Vegas, they ask if it's because of all the cool casinos or the drink glasses that are literally the height of a 6-year-old. I tell them no, I love Vegas because it's the mecca of the all-you-can-eat meal. And after putting some serious study time across a lot of different buffets, I can tell you the single definitive scientific strategy for getting the absolute most out of any all-you-can-eat buffet you visit. Be it Golden Corral to my personal childhood favorite, Ponderosa. Rest in peace, there's only like 3 of you that exist. So today, consider this video your definitive guide to beating the house. If beating the house is you eating a lot at an all-you-can-eat restaurant. Do you want that fried chicken or you want the mashed potatoes? Do you want the spaghetti and meatballs or the mac and cheese? The cake or the pie? Today, the answer is E, all of the above. Today, we're exploring the very clear strategies to getting the most bang for your buck out of these sorts of restaurants, but also exploring some of the devious ways that the buffets themselves are trying to stop you from doing exactly that. Today, it is us versus them versus us. Honestly, because let's face it, if you're stuffing everything you possibly can into your gut every time you're going to one of these restaurants, you're punishing your own body just as much as you're punishing the restaurant. In fact, the restaurant doesn't feel it at all, but you're gonna feel it a whole heck of a lot. But that doesn't mean we don't still need to know those answers for science, for our wallets, and for our own damn pride. Now, to begin, we need to get back to basics. How businesses work and how, in a world of all-you-can-eat buffets, they make any sort of money. Because in theory, they're literally offering you the option of like 25 different entrees. Well, the basic premise of a buffet, or really any restaurant, quite honestly, is that the food you eat has to cost less at the end of the day than the money you spent to get that meal. It's pretty basic, right? But a lot of buffets offer stuff that seem pretty darn pricey, like steaks and seafood, crab legs. So they also have to make sure that when you're getting full, you're not necessarily getting full on those items. So how can the buffets manipulate your stomach? Well, primarily they do that by manipulating your mind. Loosen up those belts by a few notches, ladies and gentlemen. Let's start by taking a look at the basic layout of your standard buffet.
Trying to get 60 items done.
Highly scientific buffet infographic. Thing of beauty, ladies and gentlemen. Here's your typical buffet layout, where we'll be able to see in a second that there are a few different things going on here. The basics are that at the far ends of the buffet, typically where you start and end your meal, you're immediately confronted with a bunch of carbohydrates, starches. Here, actually, let's roll some footage of us taking a little visit to the local buffet establishment, and you can actually see how consistently this plays out. On one extreme of that buffet, you get pastas, you get macaroni, you get corn, and on the other extreme end, we're presented with a loaf of bread, a bunch of muffins, a bit of toast. So these are our capstone carbohydrates, which are put there intentionally for 2 specific reasons. One, they're cheap. They are the cheapest things to make on the menu. Bread and pasta can be made in massive quantities, they keep well for long periods of time, and it doesn't matter if the restaurant has to throw some of it away at the end of the day. It is not a big loss for them. Other things to look out for at the ends of the buffets are going to be the things like rice dishes, which you'll also see providing a buffer around some of the more expensive meat dishes. Like, for example, right here, where this beef stir-fry is sandwiched between cheaper pot stickers on the left and fried rice on the right. To put the cost difference of starches versus other stuff in perspective, rice, 38 cents per pound. Corn, 43 cents per pound. Potatoes, 51 cents per pound. All pretty darn inexpensive. Even if you somehow manage to eat 5 pounds of this stuff during your all-you-can-eat trip, that buffet is still going to make a great profit margin off of your dollars. By comparison, though, the lowest price of wholesale beef, $2.80 per pound in 2019. So if you're eating pounds of steak, you're starting to cost the restaurant a whole heck of a lot more. And as an added bonus, carbs tend to take up a lot of room in your stomach and also on your plate. They're light, they're fluffy, they're absorbent, which means that they are delicious, but it also means that they're going to act like a spongy material in your stomach, expanding and making you feel full, sleepy, and like it's maybe not worth it to go back for a fourth helping of that hand-sliced kielbasa. For evidence of why this strategy helps buffets, I direct your attention to the satiety index, an actual index of the relative satisfaction and fullness that various foods make you feel. It's honestly worth doing a whole episode on this thing in particular because it can really help you with stuff like losing weight. But today, there are a couple takeaways for looking at this thing. In measuring all kinds of foods from all kinds of food categories, including desserts, veggies, different types of bread, etc., the developers of this satiety index actually concluded a few interesting things, like that oranges are more satisfying than bananas, strangely enough, but also that the foods that make you feel most satisfied are carbohydrates. So, by giving you lots of bread right up front, the buffet is actually already signaling to your body to tell it, after this meal, you have had enough. Stop right there. Shut your mouth hole. Shut it down. On top of all of that, which is already a lot, those rolls, potatoes, huge amounts of rice jambalaya, they're all taking up huge amounts of space on your plate, meaning that you have less room for all the other stuff, the good stuff, the higher quality, more expensive stuff when you arrive to it. All of this leads to the first major rule of maximizing your buffet experience. Rule number 1, skip bread. Skip the bread entirely. Don't be pulled in by the pasta and say, piss off to those potatoes. We are beelining it to the carving station, my friend. Which, actually, incidentally, is where buffets are imposing their second major mind game on you. Portion control. It's not enough to just hide the expensive products on a buffet, and if you've been to a Vegas buffet, you'll know that a lot of times the good stuff is practically hidden in a back alley behind the casino. But when you do eventually find that expensive cut of meat or provide the secret password to receive your king crab legs, it's still not usually you who gets to decide how much is going on your plate. This, ladies and gentlemen, is where the manned carving station comes into play, where the expensive meat is usually doled out in a much...
Is your garden trying to tell you something? Sunlight and water can't satisfy your garden's hunger, so feed them Miracle Grow and see the difference. Satisfy your garden's hunger with Miracle Grow.
A much more reasonable portion than the slab of beef that most of us would like to serve ourselves on that plate. Excuse me, sir, what meats do you have on the buffet today? New York strip, ribeye, skirt steak? I'll take all of them. And they give you a little portion, and then you're like, please, sir, I'd like some more. It's like a modern-day Oliver. And that, ladies and gentlemen, acting. The number one protein item that you're likely to find on your buffet line is chicken. Because, quite frankly, it's the cheapest. 89 cents a pound. And beyond chicken, they usually don't trust you to serve yourself. The carving station is this place usually manned by a tall, imposing guy who's essentially the bouncer of the meat. Well, he's there to serve you as much as you like, in theory, and thereby giving you a premium eating experience. Ooh, look, someone's carving my meat for me. What he's really there to do is, 1, control the size of the portion you're being served so that you can't eat a whole prime rib by yourself, or even worse, waste that prime rib, take too much and then end up throwing it away. And 2, every time you want to get another helping of roast beast, you have to ask a human being to give it to you. Going up for seconds? Hey, it's buffet, do your thing. Going up for fifths? Now your brain's telling you that the meat bouncer is judging you for your gluttony. Internally, he's like, well, look at that. You want another serving? There are people dying of hunger all over the world, but sure, we just cramming that fat back bacon down your gullet. No problem. And so instead of asking for more like you want, you instead slink away, mumble and just top up one of those rolls. In this way, the buffet can still give you the illusion of luxury items as being all you can eat, but serving you the most expensive things in small, controlled portions. Another way that buffets do this is by serving you things on pre-portioned plates, which either take up a ton of room on your existing plate, or you have to dedicate a whole hand to holding that plate. This way, they keep your portions small and ensure that you can only pick up like 1, 2, maybe max 4 of these items every time you return to the buffet. The last manipulation along these lines that's happening right there on the buffet line is literally from the second you start. The plate you pick up. Plates and bowls at all-you-can-eat buffets tend to be smaller than the plates that you get at other restaurants. Now, while we might initially think that this wouldn't make a difference, since, I can get as many plates as I want, it's actually not the case. According to one study, simply giving subjects a larger bowl for their ice cream led to them serving themselves and consuming 31% more ice cream than those who were given a smaller bowl. And those that were given larger serving spoons ate 15% more. For proof of this principle in action, think about all those self-serve frozen yogurt places that are all the rage these days. My favorite is Yogurtland, where I am no joke a platinum card-carrying member since 2013, in fact. But when I go in, I know that the sizes that they give out are enormous. They're designed to trick me into thinking that I have to fill them up. Otherwise, what am I doing? I just got a little swirl in the bottom. Then you get to the end of the line and suddenly you're paying by the weight of the yogurt in your cup, and the whole idea is that you just realized, oh wait, I served myself literally 12 pounds of yogurt. This is like a $50 bowl of ice cream. But hey, you know what? It's healthy, because it's yogurt. It's not. Anyway, in the same way that Yogurtland wants me to buy like 700 ounces of yogurt and not budget one sitting, is how I got to be a platinum card member in the first place, the buffet actually wants to trick me into doing the exact opposite. They give you smaller plates, they give you smaller bowls, even smaller silverware sometimes, in an effort to get you to put less on your plate and thereby eat less. This should make sense if you've ever tried this trick on a diet, where one of the most well-known tips is to put your food on smaller plates. Average dinner plates sold in stores here in the US are around 12 inches today, but buffets tend to use plates that are in the 9 to 10 inch range, a little smaller than average in the US, and enough to take our plate area from 113 to 78 square inches, meaning that you have over 20% less space for the food you want to put on that thing. That real-life buffet example that we went to, plates 9, 10 inches, boom, right on target. Research in real life for the win. Additionally, every time you have to get up and go back to the buffet, you have to overcome some social stigma of getting more food, which, even if that exists in your head, you imagine that the people around you, that your server, that everyone will notice, that they'll start judging you for it. So the takeaway of all these psychological mind games, first, know that they're mind games that aren't accidentally there. They are intentionally placed between you and that 6th helping of spiral cut ham. Once you recognize that you're playing a game, release that shame, ladies and gentlemen. Make friends with that meat bouncer and play like a champ. When you go up to seconds 2 and 3, mention casually that you're an ultimate marathon runner. The last pro tip for becoming the ultimate master of the buffet is to perform well. You need to prepare well. Like the professional bikers of the world train for the Tour de France, so should you prepare your body for fried chicken and the biggest thing that's standing in the way of your face
These guys are too small for what I need.
But again, this whole episode is about optimizing our experience, making the restaurant hurt because you ate your meal there. So that means you gotta go all the way. You know that feeling at a buffet where your stomach is like, hey guys, we can probably stop now. And then you go up for 2 more plates and it's like, hey, we really need to stop eating now. And then after like another 2 bowls of ice cream, it's like, nope, shut it down. Well, all of those feelings are coming as a result of a hormone called leptin. That's leptin working on your body. Leptin is released when your body has all the energy that it needs and is like, yeah, we're pretty good down here. Tell the mouth to shut up. On the other hand, there's another hormone that tells you that you're really hungry and can definitely make it through another 2 slices of pie, and that hormone is called ghrelin, otherwise known as the hunger hormone. This is kind of an oversimplified version of the system, but the basic principle going into a buffet will be like, you want your ghrelin to be really high, and you want your leptin to be really low, which is basically the fast track to overeating town. So, kept an obvious alert, you shouldn't go to an all-you-can-eat buffet with a full stomach. Obviously. But there are actually a few other things that you can do to induce ghrelin production. One study found that subjects who were given carbonated beverages about an hour after a late breakfast produced ghrelin at a rate 4 to 5 times that of people who just drank water. And it wasn't sugary sodas that spiked ghrelin production the most. It was actually unflavored carbonated water. So all of this gives us strategy number one: an hour before your buffet experience, chug yourself some seltzer water. Make sure that those ghrelin levels are as high as possible. And then, of course, we're trying to make our appetite raging, so we should probably crush ourselves a few hours on the Stairmaster, right? Make ourselves even hungrier. No, actually, that's not right at all. Research shows that moderate exercise has little effect on ghrelin production in the body, but strangely enough, longer aerobic workouts with higher intensity actually lead to decreases in ghrelin production, even when you compare it to control groups who weren't exercising at all. Therefore, strategy number two: lay around like a slug before you go to the all-you-can-eat buffet. Just sit there chugging your seltzer water and only eat a little. You're set, man. Maybe I should rename this as the general guide to getting diabetes. Last, when it comes to delaying the onset of leptin, remember that a buffet is a marathon and not a sprint. Sure, you might come in as ravenous as a hungry raccoon, but after 2 plates of that pork fried rice, you're down for the count. So to keep your leptin levels low, remember, stick to the plan of low-carb eating, at least at the very beginning. Because again, those are the foods that are going to fill you up fastest. Leave those carbs for the end of the meal where they belong. Stuff like a monster brownie ice cream sundae, all important chocolate fountain. Same thing goes with sugary drinks. Skip those and stick to water, because it's not going to affect your ghrelin levels as significantly as anything you're sweet. And lastly, while you're doing all of this, eating a beef while you're drinking your water, which sounds just like a terrible meal, but you know what? You are that determined to get your money's worth out of this buffet. Also make sure that you don't pay attention to what you're eating while you're eating it. That's right. People who are distracted while they eat, whether it's multitasking or watching a television show or whatever, they all tend to consume more than those whose brains aren't otherwise occupied. So bring yourself a crossword puzzle. Paint watercolors in one hand while you crush some taquitos in the other. Or heck, watch this video to remind yourself why you're there. Not to enjoy yourself a nice meal, but to send as much of the high-ticket items down your digestive system as possible. To stick it to whoever charged you $50 for that Bacchanal buffet. And with that, you have done it, my friends. You are now the master of the buffet. So, that's it. You now know all the secrets to take on the world of buffets. Go forth and use those powers wisely. No one likes an upset tummy. So remember, that's just a theory. A food theory. Bon appetit. Hey friends, 2021 Matt Pat checking in. Hope you enjoyed the whole walk down memory lane, but also brand new content thing that we tried out today. And above all else, I hope you enjoyed my green screen acting. Also, can I just say, as I rewatched this episode 2 years from when we first produced it, the cringy thing that stuck out to me the most was how I literally had a pair of sweatpants slung over my shoulder for like 2 minutes at the top of this episode. Like, I mentioned sweatpants once in passing as a joke, so I don't know, let me just introduce sweatpants as a practical prop that needs to stay on screen for the entire intro. And then I decided not to get an actual key and instead made the editor's motion track a JPEG into my hand. And then later I held a practical plate in my hands but needed a motion tracked meatball to go on that plate. Like, what is green screen Matt Pat's relationship with his environment? What is real in the food theory universe and what isn't? I don't know what to tell you folks, 2019 was apparently a weird time for me. Point is, July 23rd is Food Theory's official 1-year anniversary, and I'd like to take this opportunity to, one, remind you that if you want to celebrate along with us, Food Theory merch is available right below this video, including that amazing apron as well as that adorable pizza plushie inspired by my childhood. Only available for a limited amount of time, so make sure you get those before supplies are gone. And also to thank you all for watching for the last year and for giving feedback. If the tone and style of today's episode struck you as a bit wonky, well, that's because it was made before we had the benefit of your input, which has really helped us craft this channel over the past year into what it is now. So please keep those comments coming. I know us YouTubers tend to joke about like, oh, don't go into the comments and things like that, but really, we're one of those channels that really take the feedback to heart. So
That's
thank you
weird.
from me, Steph, and the whole
Says
Food
there's
Theory
4
team.
people
It has
watching
been a
on one
great
side,
year,
but
and we're
one on
looking
the
forward to
other.
serving up plenty more. Now, as your second course, I'd recommend watching the food optimization episode that wound up replacing
If you
this
could slap me
episode.
with a high five on the way out, I'd
Find out which
appreciate
fast
that.
food French fry order gets you the most deliciousness for your dollar. Thanks again for watching. Get your dollar's worth at the next buffet you go to, and make sure you listen to your parents, kids, because if you don't, green screen Matt Pat will come for you in the night holding a JPEG of a knife.
Come on, you fussing up. Let's get in some trouble.
It's time
time, what would become? Mufasa the Lion King, now streaming on Disney Plus.
Don't screw this up, Mad Pat. Gordon Ramsay is watching you, judging your every move. All right, let's try to think about this logically. In what order should a burger's ingredients be stacked? If the lettuce is on the bottom, it'll catch the juices and keep the bottom bun from getting soggy, right? But if the lettuce is on the bottom, it could block the flavors above it from reaching the taste buds. Should I spread sauces on top of the bottom bun or under the top bun or both? And the cheese, it goes on top of the patty, right? Of course it does. What are you, some kind of under-patty sociopath? Though, maybe that's what Gordon Ramsay wants us to be. Okay, focus up. Where do the onions go? Time to make a decision, Matt Pat. Time to... Oh, nice. He died of boredom during my interior monologue. Oh, it got cold. Hello, Internet. Welcome to Food Theory, the show that strives to be well done, unlike your burger. Theorists, last summer, Food Theory went to great lengths to determine whether gas grills or charcoal grills were superior. This year, we have a new challenger entering the ring, Traeger, our sponsor for this video, who saw that episode and shipped out one of their Ironwood 885 wood pellet grills to me out of the blue. Basically telling me that if I'm serious about reaching my final Dad Pat form, I'm gonna need to up my grill game. And I gotta say, they nailed my personality in a grill exactly. It's a Wi-Fi enabled grill that I can control with my phone. With my phone, people, just boop, and it's set at the right temperature. It is science and tech and food, and I kind of love it. They also call the Wi-Fi technology Wi-Fire technology. Even their dad jokes are on par with mine. Also, can I just mention how the packaging turns into a cardboard playhouse? It's brilliant because so much of my life at this point is cardboard waste. So well done, Traeger, thinking about us family men.
The grill is slowly emerging, but more importantly, Ollie's new playhouse is being unboxed. Oh, this is so cute.
Ollie's definitely gonna love this, and I gotta admit, I'm a little bit jealous that he gets to play inside this thing. Anyway, because this is a brand deal and I wanted an excuse to try this puppy out, today we've concocted an episode that's got me on an all-day grill-a-thon, cooking up the summer staple hamburgers. But today is all about what happens when those patties leave the grill. Food Theory is a channel all about optimizing your food experience, even the finer nuances that don't always get a lot of consideration, which is why today we're tackling proper burger stack order. Now look, I get it. The order in which your burger ingredients are stacked might seem nitpicky and pedantic, but there are real reasons why this matters, people. Nobody likes their burger falling apart before it gets to their mouth, and stack order plays a huge role in that. I cannot tell you the number of delicious burgers that have been ruined for me because the sauces and the lettuce mixed together to create like a slip and slide for the patty and it whoop, out of the bun. Plus there's the whole matter of how stack order affects the bite experience itself. Two burgers with identical ingredients but different stack orders can result in two different experiences. Bun sogginess, lettuce crispness, heck, certain flavors can even become more pronounced depending on the level of
Should have waited till that was set.
There are two types of people out there in the world. Those who worry about the order in which their burger ingredients are stacked, and those who don't. If you're part of the latter group, because it turns out there are plenty of people out here worrying about this on your behalf. We learned this a few years back when a Twitter user by the name of Thomas this astute observation. Quote, I think we need to have a discussion about how Google's burger emoji is placing the cheese underneath the burger while Apple puts it on top of it. And, well, that conversation definitely happened. Bagels tweet blew up, articles were written, and basically the entire internet weighed in on how awful Google's burger emoji stack order was. And it worked. Google corrected their burger emoji in the very next Android update. Plus, all the other burger emojis wound up getting dragged into the conversation, allowing the nitty-gritty subtleties of burger order stack to be discussed out in the open. Bagels thread attracted an array of opinions, such as lettuce on the bottom is an abomination. Lettuce protects bun from becoming soggy.
No, wait. I just had this. Where's the other one?
Tomato as a buffer from the heat. The Samsung one is even worse. Lettuce between the cheese.
Hasn't gone anywhere. Hasn't done anything.
Cheese any other way is sacrilege. Suffice it to say, the internet did not reach consensus. consensus that day. People basically agreed that the patty should go between the buns, and that was it. So obviously the world needs a definitive answer to this hamburger humdinger. That is why today food theory is going to determine precisely what the optimal stack order is once and for all. Now, before we can test different burger stack orders,
Fuck, how did I lose that horn? I hadn't gone anywhere.
This is easier said than done because there's really no one with final say on the subject. Get it together, hamburgers. The National Hot Dog and
Well, I'm gonna go spray paint these. If I found the other one, I'll just add it to the file.
things with an iron fist. Someone from your camp needs to step it up. And no, it is not going to be this guy. Granted, a great number of foodies and chefs have strong opinions on what should and should not go on a hamburger. But even they can agree on something as simple as whether ketchup should go on a burger or not, let alone any other ingredients. But weirdly enough, there is a lot of ingredient agreement across the various burger emojis. I mean, just look at them all side by side. They all basically have the same stuff in different orders. Buns, patty, cheese, lettuce, tomato. And I see you, WhatsApp, going into more detail than the others. You've added ketchup and possibly onion underneath it. Honestly, I'm cool with all of these ingredients. They all feel like solid examples of what you'd find on a typical burger, especially here in the US. But I also want to toss two other classic ingredients into the mix for the sake of today's experiment. Pickles and mayo, which will add some height and some slipperiness to the burgers to help separate the burger stability men from the burger stability boys. Alright, so now on to the fun stuff. Let's select which stack order is best. The first one we're going to call the Whopper with Cheese stack. This one's pretty straightforward. If you order a Whopper with cheese at Burger King, you get a burger with the exact same ingredients that we're stacking today. From bottom to top, the Whopper with cheese is stacked like so. Bottom bun, patty, cheese, pickles, ketchup, onion, tomato, lettuce, mayo, top bun. Also, this happens to be a very popular stack order amongst the burger emojis. Facebook, Messenger, and Microsoft all stack their emojis with the patty on the bottom, with cheese, tomatoes, and lettuce above.
Maybe that's what I should do. Spend 20 minutes getting all these sorted out again. Big fire.
Patterned after the stack order, it definitely feels like the Whopper with cheese is like the #1 seed in this competition with a great shot at winning. The next stack order we're going to test is a little something I like to call the WhatsApp Ramsey. Gordon Ramsay did not give us permission to use his name for this burger, but deep down I kind of hope it makes him angry enough to call me a donkey to my face. Fulfilling the last item on my bucket list. Our thinking with this one is that the stack order of WhatsApp's burger emoji and Ramsey's quote perfect burger are actually pretty similar, with the lettuce leaf on the bottom, a tomato on top of that, then the patty, then the cheese and onion on top. Now, there are obviously some differences between the two burgers. For example, Ramsey grills his onions, whereas the test burgers are going to use raw sliced onions. Also, Ramsey's burger doesn't use ketchup, whereas the WhatsApp burger emoji does. Ramsey does place a lot of importance on using sauce to glue the burger together at multiple levels, however.
How many times have you seen guests that have opened up a burger and they're trying to put ketchup or mayonnaise? Once you've assembled the burger, you can't really break it down. You've got to put it together and eat it nice and whole.
So we're going to borrow that tactic with our sauces, mayo and ketchup. In the end, our WhatsApp Ramsey burger goes bottom bun, mayo, lettuce, tomato, then another touch of mayo. Followed by the patty with the cheese melted on it. On top of that, we'll put pickles, onions, then the top bun with ketchup applied to the underside for gluing purposes. One last note, Gordon Ramsay finds pickles too acidic for his perfect burger, but again, we're concerned about the integrity of our experiment today. Our next burger is a fun one. I'm calling it the Krabby Samsung stack. See, if you look at the Samsung emoji, they do something weird. They put a piece of lettuce between the meat and the cheese, but here's the thing, they're not alone. There's another sandwich that you might be familiar with that's stacked in the exact same way, the double Krabby Patty with the works.
I can't put a patty on a bun with lettuce, cheese, onions, tomatoes, ketchup, mustard, pickles, and top bun together in that order.
Now, I'm not going to try to apply a whole lot of logic to this. SpongeBob calls it a double, but there's still only one patty. Instead, I'm just going to swap the mustard out for mayo and call it a day. Krabby Samsung starts with a bottom bun, then a patty, lettuce, cheese, onions, tomato, ketchup, mayo, pickles, and top bun. Finally, I want to make sure that we pit the Apple burger emoji head-to-head against the original Google burger emoji. Off chance that Google was right all along and actually created the best burger stack of it all. So with this in mind, I came up with the Apple hat stack and the Google hat stack. Basically, both of these burger stacks begin with the ingredients exactly as presented in their respective emojis, but wearing a hat made out of the other necessary ingredients. So the Apple hat stack begins with the bottom bun, then lettuce, patty, cheese, and tomato, exactly as the emoji shows. But then it's its hat of ketchup, pickle, onion, mayo, top bun. Same story with the Google hat stack. We start with the emoji exactly as presented, bottom bun, cheese, patty, tomato, lettuce, and then it receives the exact same hat setup. Ketchup, pickle, onion, mayo, top bun. So, you excited to put these burgers to the test? Probably not as excited as Steph and I are, because we actually get to eat them. We'll be judging the burgers in 2 categories. For lack of a better term, we'll call the first category taste. Granted, all the burgers should taste nearly identical, given the fact that they'll be grilled the same way and constructed with identical ingredients, but the taste category is going to take everything the mouth senses into consideration. Taste, texture, temperature on the tongue. Basically, it'll consider the whole symphony of senses going on in your mouth. Steph and I will give each burger a score of 1 to 10 for taste, with 10 being the best. The second category will be structural integrity. Nobody likes a burger that falls artificially, and stack order is important. A burger may earn up to 5 points in the table wiggle portion of the test, and it can earn an additional 5 points during the actual eating phase of the test. So with all those rules outlined and our contestants lined up, it's time for that sweet, sweet Dad Pat grilling montage.
XL refreshers. Do what feels fresh.
Is your garden trying to tell you something? Sunlight and water can't satisfy your garden's hunger, so feed them Miracle Grow and see the difference. Satisfy your garden's hunger with Miracle Grow.
What do you think, Steph? Do I look? Do I look good?
You look like such a girl master right now.
Yeah.
Give me like sort of a hardcore look. The realness.
There we go. I should do some pink ones.
Smells so good. Oh, let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
I can't. I'm attached to my microphone.
Yeah, me too.
One of these days we'll get wireless microphones. Today is not that
Oh,
day.
I need a
Let's go
jar.
back to the house where we began assembling our 5 test burgers. First up was the Whopper with cheese stack.
Okay, ready? And squish.
That's one. Show it off to the camera, Steph.
Right, that one works.
Oh, it is a beautiful burger. It is really, really nice.
What was I at? 22?
Really good. But the combination of onion,
Yeah, 22. Okay,
ketchup,
we keep going.
lettuce, and pickle, I think that's going to create a little slip and slide for the burger.
I love a Whopper though.
Let's set that one aside, because next up, what's that, Ramsey?
It looks also good. I'm just hungry.
It is the same combination.
I gotta figure out what the weather's gonna be like tomorrow.
No, this is the Krabby Patty Samsung. The Krabby Samsung. This is the SpongeBob approved method.
Ooh, 17. Nice.
Oh no.
I saw something, I gotta check what it was.
Matt?
No.
And then finally, pickles and bun.
What?
Right? It's a slippery, sloppy mess.
Nice.
Slippery,
Oh,
sloppy.
it's so wet.
Ew, so wet. Alright, there you go. Huh. Krabby Patty. Double Krabby with cheese.
That's not what I expected. Double Krabby Patty with cheese.
Last 2. Google has.
Gotta check the weather. Ow, my spine. Then we'll get back to work.
Which seems odd.
It's
to a lot of
closer
people.
to your tongue, actually, which I kind of appreciate because sometimes cheese gets lost in the burger.
That's what I was thinking. I think this one might actually have.
Fuck, it's rain tomorrow.
Flavor than the other one.
I don't have time for rain.
Your taste buds first.
Some of these are
I
getting
need to work.
these are very.
Need to cut things up.
Krabby Samsung is already falling
Oh,
over, and
no.
I don't know
Oh,
why.
come on, Krabby
Look at
Samsung.
this. It's already falling. Let's see. After that, onion,
Okay, onion. 1, 2, and 3.
then mayo on the top bun.
Mayo on the top bun.
Mayo on the top bun.
Mayo on the top bun. Mayo on the mayo on the mayo on the top bun. Oh no, that's just we can't. No, this is just too white. I just can't. Oh god.
Maybe, do you think this is
Right, what am I gonna do
some
with you?
people on the internet call me a lol cow? As in one who they can milk for the lulz?
Alright, something needs a skull for a head. Let's do that.
Okay. Here's one.
If I can find your lid. It's about this size. I can do a nice big
This whole channel.
stash jar. I have these ones. Ah! My bones!
Shit.
There we go. Never mind.
My microphone is stretched far enough for me to actually be able to frame any other way. Okay.
I got this one today. It's still wet, but it is clean.
Everything right now. All right.
There. I got this one. I don't know where the lid for this one is. But maybe I have a lid for this one, so there.
No way subjective and gave us insight as to how our 5 tests
There we go.
hold
2
up
lids right here.
headed to your table. The Google hat stack and the Apple hat stack performed the best here. Each scored a 5 out of 5. The
I need
Krabby
my lids for this.
not so much.
Okay.
Then at long last, it was time to test these delicious wood pellet grilled burgers with our mouths.
We got 5 stability points.
Okay.
10 taste points for a whopping total of
15 possible.
Let's do this. Start with
God, I never got that finished.
Here we go. Okay, good step. This is
Failures. It's just, yeah. It's not
anybody's fault. So, I'm not getting any cheese at all in this, and I think it's because the burger is blocking the cheese. Like, the cheese is
I gotta use this, but I don't know where the head is.
You never actually get the cheese. I totally agree.
No, I'm getting a lot of the acidity of the top ingredients, the onion, the pickle, and I'm getting the meat of the burger, but I'm not getting any cheese or any of those central ingredients out of this one, which is really interesting.
This is very onion forward. And you get onion, you get pickle, and you get meat in this one, which are good, but you completely miss out on cheese. And I don't really taste a lot of dough or anything.
I found another lamb. Okay, I'll do another lamb for right now.
And a 4 out of 5 for how well it stayed together while being eaten. Added to its 4 out of 5 of the table wiggle test, the Whopper with cheese stack scored 15 out of a possible 20.
All right, round 2.
I guess I'm going with another one of these because I still like them. And
That was a juicy sound.
especially out of the flavors.
I am shocked by how different it tastes. The bottom of the burger hits your tongue first. It really does. And so here, because this one has the lettuce on the bottom, as well as the mayo and the tomato, especially the tomato, I'm getting a lot of tomato, and it's covering up the burger, actually, which is wacky.
Yeah.
It feels like I'm eating a tomato sandwich rather than a hamburger.
It is so weird, you guys. Try putting the tomato on the bottom of your burger, which no one does. You never put a tomato on the bottom of your burger. What, except for Gordon Ramsay. Fine, and to your point, it is a really tasty burger, but it is not what I would think of when I want to bite into a burger.
The WhatsApp Ramsey stack earned 7 out of 10 for its extremely equally good taste, and a 1 out of 5 for staying together while being eaten. The wet tomato, lettuce, and mayo down at the bottom wound up turning the bottom bun into a muddy paste. With 3 table wiggle points, the WhatsApp Ramsey earned 11 out of 20.
Round number 3, Krabby Samsung.
This is a huge burger.
So,
also.
while 7 tastes good, I gotta say, some food theory episodes I'm like, oh yeah, we're gonna find something really interesting. This one I'm like, I'm curious, but I also don't think we're gonna result in any sort of weird difference, right? There are 5 burgers, all with the same ingredients. Maybe one will be soggier than the other or whatever, but like ultimately, how big of a difference is the burger stack order the result? Honestly, I'm shocked. Just from these first 2 alone, it was literally like trying 2 different sandwiches because one had yes.
It was totally different again.
Are you kidding me? Really? Biting into it, I was taken through the order of what I would expect a burger to taste like.
This is the only one where I got any hint of cheese,
100%.
by the way.
Yes, I got the cheese on
So putting the cheese, you guys, away from the burger actually gives you more cheese taste. It's not a joke. Like,
for as skeptical as I was about like who puts the cheese on the lettuce, it's actually really brilliant.
It made a big difference.
A huge difference. From a flavor standpoint, I'm gonna give this a 9.
The structure of this one sucks, so like put a toothpick in this puppy before you go and eat it, but you know, it's good.
The Krabby Samsung stack earned big points for taste, but low scores in both of the structural integrity categories, for a grand total of 14 points. Then it was on to the Google hat stack.
That's weird. That's real weird.
Are you getting a lot of bread?
Yeah. Sorry.
Do you need another bite? Here, I'm gonna try another bite.
It's real strange.
I don't understand.
I don't get it. Because I exactly agree with Steph. I bite this burger, and I literally get none of the ingredients.
I know there's other stuff in my mouth other than bread and meat, but that's all I taste.
Why is that? I'm getting, like, at best, like, a little pickle. So maybe it was appropriate for the internet to cancel this one out of existence because it practically canceled itself out of existence, to be honest.
We wound up giving the Google Hack 3.5 points for taste, but it scored a halfway respectable 12.5 overall, thanks to being a big structurally sound burger.
Okay.
Last one,
Last
apple
one,
hat.
apple hat.
Want me
Go
to
for
start?
it. Yeah, go for it.
Here we go.
Okay, so the shtick with this one was kind of there was no shtick. This is basically the way that you would do this if it came off of a grill, to be honest.
It's more flavorful than the other one, but not as flavorful as any of the others.
I totally agree. This one is sweeter for some reason.
I need something I can cut the head off.
We were very good with how much onion we put on all of these, and I've been really trying. The reason these bites have been so big is that I've been trying to get everything in light. I don't taste the cheese at all. Again, I don't. What is? And we got sharp. This is sharp cheddar cheese. This should stand out as about as much as you would expect from any normal barbecue like burger in your backyard. And I don't taste it. I love it. Yeah. Are we gonna tally up and see what won?
Yeah. So.
Heavy bunny.
Points. Apparently, we have a two-way tie for first place, which is the Whopper with cheese and the apple hat stack.
Now, I think that should come with some padding on the spray.
I agree.
So structurally, Apple Hat did very well. Whopper performed, I think, sort of upper middle range across the board in all of them, and that's what landed these two at the top. If you're going from a flavor perspective, though, we had a pretty clear winner.
Yeah, the Krabby Patty formula, all those ingredients clearly delineated
The
out.
neck is
So
too big
there you
for
have
the
it,
wolf.
friends. Like a
For the
minor
bottle.
point of optimization in your day-to-day life can actually yield a pretty substantial difference on your plate.
Like,
But hey,
the neck is like that. I don't have a bottle like that. I don't think this is that big. Pretty close though. If I can find the lid, I'll use that one.
We've only had it for a few weeks, and already I've used it for roasting veggies, salmon, steaks. Steph, for years, has been wanting to test out grilling our Thanksgiving turkey, and now we finally have the perfect grill to do it on. If it goes well, that should probably give me enough dad points to achieve my final form. Honestly, though, I cannot say enough about this grill. Not only does the wood
1987.
food
Sorry.
actually taste better, in my opinion, but it takes the biggest frustration that I have with grilling.
My goodness, you are a heavy bunny.
Entirely thanks to the settings and phone app. I can get my grill to whatever temperature I need effortlessly and with a ton of precision. And I know I mentioned this earlier, but it had the best unboxing experience I've ever had.
This is so smart. It's such a smart way to reuse this box too. So while you're assembling your grill, they left a hole for you to place your beverage, your chilled beverage, so that while you're putting your grill together, you can have a refreshing brewski.
Can we just start a grill unboxing channel, Stephanie? It is a premium product that feels really special, and so far has seriously delivered on the results. So check out Traeger's wood pellet grills at TraegerGrills.com, as well as their YouTube channel for recipes and tips. And always remember, it's all just a theory. A food theory.
Pampers Swaddlers keeps baby 3 times drier. So your baby stays comfortably dry all night long. Pampers Swaddlers, dry all night.
Nothing like that vintage stuffing.
Warm cinnamon. Velvety vanilla. Cinnamon vanilla flavored shreddies. Same great square. New delicious flavor.
Yeah, I knew it.
3 years, 3 episodes, 3 chances to find the perfect solution to combat spicy food. And this year, I think we've done it. Tremble in fear, all your restaurants with hot wing challenges.
Jeez, put 3 on here. There, finally got the eye off.
I promise that you'll be equipped to handle nearly anything they can throw at you.
You don't want to go? Don't worry, you will not be blinded forever. I'll give you new eyes that can see through space and time.
Hottest thing in spicy food turns cold.
Oh no, that was such a small amount.
Scrap Biff. Here's the ride. Hello, Internet. Welcome to Food Theory, the only show that tries to be spicy, but is actually just a bit bitter. Bitter about never making it onto Hot Ones, that is.
It's the show with hot questions, even hotter wings.
If you've been following our spicy saga over the last 3 years, you're well aware that I've been recreating my own science-based version of the series in an attempt to train up for the day that I'm finally invited to meet my unrequited internet love, Sean Evans. The premise of the show is simple. Sean eats spicy wings and does in-depth interviews of all the hottest Hollywood celebrities, and the occasional YouTuber when they need to fill out the guest list. And yet my attempt to copy him in a legally unenforceable way has been unnoticed, ignored. I am Hello Neighbor, he is my MatPat. So you know what? Who needs him? Today we ascend.
We're gonna use
Is this
fluffy
our
stuff.
final part of the spicy food
He
trilogy?
deserves
We're not
fluffy
limiting
head.
ourselves to his show's signature sauce, The Last Dab. No, we're getting hotter. We're going more extreme than the Scoville scale. The final boss of today's episode requires a waiver and passing not just one, but 2 separate spice tolerant tests in order to even buy it. It is without question the single spiciest bite of food I've ever consumed. Heck, if you take a bite of this that's the size of a grain of rice, your mouth is going to be feeling it for the next 20 minutes. This right here, this is the concluding chapter to the trilogy. There's no better way to go out than to go big. Before we get there though, we gotta come in prepared as possible. That means another series of spicy solutions that need to be tested. Hopefully you've seen the previous episodes in our quest to find the perfect spice solution, but if not, link is in the top right corner of the description, or I can just catch you up right now. Overall, we all know the general stuff that you're supposed to do. Drink milk, eat bread, don't drink water, all that sort of good stuff. But I've been convinced that there are better, smarter, more effective science-based solutions out there. I don't just want to cool those flavor flames, I want to extinguish them. And so, using both your suggestions and our research, Sam and I have been putting them to the test. We've seen some good ones, we've seen some bad ones, and we've seen some really bad ones.
F. Negative F. What is wrong with you?
In general, we've learned that the perfect spice solutions try to check off as many boxes on this list. They've got to be cold, they got to be sweet, and they got to be thick with as many C's as possible. They're also ideally full of dairy, which is basic. So counteracting it with something acidic like lemon or lime juice is going to help neutralize the capsaicin that's lingering in your mouth. That right there, that is our list of must-haves. We've also learned to stay far away from anything that contains alcohol, which just activates the same TRPV1 receptors that capsaicin does in the mouth, irritating them in a very similar way. So far, our top spicy food solutions have been sweet lime simple syrup, a honey peanut butter mixture, and at the top of the heap, a cold custard milkshake, specifically from our local ice cream chain, Good Berries. All of them are good, each checking off 2 or 3 of the qualities on our list, but none of them great, especially when up against the toughest and spiciest contenders. See also our reactions from last year.
I'm gonna just try real quick. I did this last time too, just so we can get a sense of what the flavor of this thing tastes like alone.
It tastes like fire. What do you mean? Oh. The flavor. It tastes like charcoal and fire.
So without further ado, it's spicy. Let's set up this test. This is the final episode in our trilogy of spicy food challenge solution episodes.
That's your sweet bippy.
Until next year when we decide to reboot the whole thing. So what are we actually testing here today?
There we go.
We are testing a
First 2 matching.
that you've submitted over the last year. We're also testing a combination of things that we have researched ourselves, like new solutions. There's some returning favorites from past years. Basically, this is the epic Super Smash Bros. Crossover episode of all your favorite spicy food solutions. But only one will be able to walk away as the supreme leader of spicy food solutions.
Which may be more than I can say for myself. I may not walk away from this episode. I may just peel off the chair at some point.
Yeah, there will be 1 winner today and 2 losers. And those losers are the 2 of us.
Oh, yeah.
So the layout for this episode is basically the same, but this year with a little bit of twist. So we have assembled a solution of 7 different spicy food solutions that you guys have submitted. We're going to put them to the test against a base level of spicy wing, and then we're going to take our favorite of solutions and the final boss of this episode, the hot
hello.
last grab holiday.
Ah, found more teeth. Nice.
There's actually some other
Yeah, 2.
more sinister, even more creative.
I like how I'm not consulting anyone about something that we're having this conversation. Something that melting your face off that.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Hotter, it is more sinister, it throws all sorts of monkey wrenches into the works, and it is something.
Hi, Mom.
Can you hear me?
A little bit, yep.
What's going on?
Nothing in the basement, working on things, trying to get stuff done.
Did you find the humidifier?
I have. I'll look for it in a minute. It's in the mess. I know. I just haven't looked for it.
All right, it may be over on the left-hand side by the wall underneath the table.
That's what I'm thinking. It's probably over there in that direction. I'll find it. If it's in this house, I will find it.
Yep, okay. So, it's pretty humid. It's been bad all day.
Yeah, I keep switching between heat and dehumidify in the basement, but yeah, I gotta turn the dehumidifier on for the night.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just keep it on low. Just get some of this damp or something.
So I dropped off two. What? What was that?
You said something?
Somebody dropped off 2 garbage bags full of stuffies to me, and they're good ones, but they need to be washed, and it's gonna rain for like the next 3 days. Of course it is.
Well,
No, I'll have to get them done. What was that? Not a word. Text me.
Okay, night.
Good night, love you. That was my mommy. Huh.
That I've been trying to get Stephanie to test out for years.
Oh, no.
So now that she's stuck on camera with me, she's forced to do it with me with all the spicy food solutions available to us.
Oh, I know what this is. Huge.
So join us, friends, as we go about our spicy food journey. Just wish us luck. Prepare yourself, your bowels, and your napkins. Bring out the wings, my friends. Bring out the wings. I am hungry and need to feed.
That's weird.
That was weird. Round number 1. Perfume? Okay, so it's probably best to give this one a bit of explaining. This may sound like a really weird choice, but it's actually coming from a pretty reliable source. Hot Ones themselves, or at least the wider First Week Feast team. You see, back in 2020, the team posted on Facebook this video of how sniffing perfume could help you lessen the burn of drinking alcohol.
So sniff it, and then take the shot. That worked. You don't feel it.
Obviously, we're eating spicy food and not downing shots, but alcohol activates the same TRPV1 receptors that capsaicin does, irritating them in a very similar way. So, if it's good enough for a drink, maybe it's good enough for a spicy wing? No, I don't see this. There's no way that this one works, right? Because at the end of the day, that this isn't an issue of flavor, right? You're smelling stuff and it's changing your perception of the flavor. There's an actual chemical reaction that's happening in your mouth where pain receptors are being activated. So no amount of smell or perceptual change is going to affect the fact that this chemical reaction is happening in your tongue. There's no chance. Right?
I'm inclined to agree with you, but we've been really surprised on episodes of Food Theory before about things that work and things that don't work.
Yeah.
And frankly, I gotta lay it on the line here. I have to go into this with some level of optimism because otherwise, we have 6 rounds in front of us and I might not make it.
All right, so I guess the question is then, are you going with Le Jardin de Monsieur Lee, or are you going with
Unlabeled bottle that I got several years ago. Oh. Okay, ready?
Ready, ding.
Alright.
What are you doing? What are you doing? Quick note, we realized early on that these wings weren't going to be hot enough to get good data for the test. So we paused and resauced the wings, only to then overshoot the mark and make them a wee bit too spicy. I guess spicier is better than nothing. Anyway, it was time to restart the test with a respray. I was thinking Steph would spray the perfume on her wrist or maybe her chest, but instead she went with the much more unconventional option. I still, no need to respray though, I smell it.
Oh, that was in my eyes. Oh, why? Why? Go, 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 go. This is a lot hotter. The perfume is doing nothing except providing a very confusing.
Smell my wrist! Smell my wrist! Is it helping?
No.
Is it helping?
Maybe. It's very sweet. It distracts me. It's worse when I'm not smelling your wrist. It legitimately is worse when you're not directly smelling the perfume.
I can tell you right now, the reason for this is twofold. One, One is it's distracting you from the heat in your mouth. Two, though, the air isn't passing through your mouth. There's that impulse to breathe through your mouth. You're like, I want to breathe out the heat. But instead, it's forcing you to breathe through your nose, which actually makes it feel better. It's like talking to you right now is literal agony for me. I hate every word that's coming out of my mouth because I'm literally breathing flames. But when I do this, it still burns. Don't get me wrong, you still feel it, but it's less sharp. So in terms of like solutions, low but effective. Yeah. It's not a net negative, it's not nothing, but it's low. So let's move through this. Let's do another one.
Yeah, let's go.
Round number 2! Nope.
XL refreshers. Do what feels fresh. Don't waste your money on cheap dirt. Get the real deal with Miracle Grow. With essential nutrients.
I wasted my money on cheap dirt because I needed volume.
It's your secret sauce for a healthy, beautiful garden. Miracle Grow. No better way to grow.
Nose plugs. The general idea here is the same as round number 1, which is like, hey, if you can't smell what you're eating, is it going to make it better? Again, I don't think that this is going to do a whole lot because, as we saw with the last round, it's not so much about the smell as it is about where the airflow is going and being distracted from the burning that's happening in your mouth.
I actually think this is going to make it worse because it's going to force us to breathe through our mouth, and that's actually the worst place you could breathe through in this circumstance.
You know, I think as we're pursuing new merch options for our fall or even winter launch, I feel the food theory nose plug might be a worthwhile endeavor. All right, here we go. Huh. This is weird. It's not doing anything. It's literally if you compare our reaction last time,
oh my god,
to where we are now,
oh my god, it's fine.
This is insane. This is shocking to me. Here, wait, I want to try this right.
I can't believe this. I'm not supposed to not say anything in these reactions, but I'm actually like speechless. I can't believe this worked. The only place I feel it is all the way in the back of my palate.
Right now, I'm feeling it in the back of my throat.
Yeah.
I'm feeling it like around the edge where I got sauce here.
Yeah, but the middle of my mouth is actually totally fine.
My tongue, which is where last round, I was feeling it and it was miserable. Yeah, I was dying. I'm fine. Like, I could go back in and do multiple bites of this.
This is not the result I expected at all. This is wild. I'm holding this on here for my own benefit at this point. It's so much less spicy. It's not completely not spicy. No. But we're talking. We're functioning normally. I'm not falling off my chair right now. This is amazing.
Yeah, I'm not feeling the sort of visceral reaction of like, I'm crying right now, or like, oh my gosh, I'm breathing fire right now. I feel it, and I definitely feel it in my soft palate, back of my throat, back of everything.
These episodes, we expect zero of these things to work. We expect to be miserable the entire time. This one works.
This is unbelievable.
Dude, this works.
This might be the single most effective solution of any that we've done across the street.
I can't believe that.
I am dumbfounded.
I know. I also, like you, thought that, like, hey, this is a chemical reaction happening in my tongue. Breathing or smelling is not going to affect this, but it totally does. My mouth feels warm.
Yeah, I feel it.
It doesn't feel like super happy, but I'm fine.
Yeah, I could tell that I would be feeling uncomfortable about it spice.
Yeah.
If I wouldn't let myself. Yeah. But the fact that, for whatever, I don't know, again, if I'm focused on...
It's just keeping a lid on.
Yeah, it's dampening it significantly. So, VO Matt Pat, after this episode, after we're done here and all this misery is over with, look this up and tell everyone what the science is here, because I don't know. This is blowing my mind.
This is incredible.
I got your back there, live action Matt Pat. As we're all familiar with at this point, the sensation of flavor is actually a combination of taste and smell. This happens because as you chew, you force air through your nasal passages. These food odors are detected by receptor proteins on hair-like cilia at the top of the sensory cells in your nerves, which then send messages to the brain. And even though it's a chemical reaction taking place on your tongue and not a matter of flavor, the conflicting messages being sent to your brain seem to be be enough to override the stimulus of the capsaicin. Now, this isn't something that totally prevents the feeling of spice, but even smelling capsaicin can irritate the mucous membranes in your nose, thereby leading to an increased
You guys could
perception
slap
of
me with a
spice.
thumbs up before you head out for the
Plugging our
night. That would be
noses, it lessens
appreciated.
the overall sensation of the spicy food. We also have some taste buds in the soft palate of our mouths, which explains why I was still feeling some burning back in that area. But when it came to our tongues, the lack of smelling seemed to completely dampen any spicy feelings. Round number 3. I'm excited about this one. Key lime pie.
This one goes out to Tyler Williams, Tyler and Sophia Nygaard, and his love of key lime pie.
This was something that was suggested multiple times by you guys, the audience. And the rationale for this one makes a lot of sense, right? In past episodes of this series that we've done, we found that
Waiting for shit to dry.
really well because there was something about the citrus and also something about the sweetness that would help dull and kind of lessen the pain that
So
you're
what am I gonna do with this severed Mickey Mouse
Take it to
head?
another level by introducing dairy, and milk is a very
I'll just make it a wall hanging.
food. So maybe by getting the lime, the sugar, and the dairy all in there in the same bite, we stand a good chance of fighting off these very now.
And you've got like a bread substance in here. So really, this seems pretty darn prime to be like a great solution.
This should be grade A.
Okay. I'm gonna lick your fingers for that extra spice. You fool. Oh, man. Doing it again really reinforces how much the nose split did. You did a really good job, man. That
I don't want to put them in there at the same time. I haven't finished chewing this. Ah.
I'm gonna have to cut this shorter. The orange one anyway.
What? Are you kidding me? Are you serious? It disappeared. One thing I didn't think about going into this was there's a fifth thing that this plays into that we didn't think about, which is viscosity. In year 2, I believe it was, we discovered that viscosity, something that's thick, like peanut butter, or again, thick like that wine, simple syrup, that's able to linger and kind of permeate everywhere and melt everywhere. It's almost like you want some sort of like salve or gel to deaden the heat and deaden the burning. This has that too.
Oh, it does come back. It does come back as soon as it goes.
You know what I tell you? To like smother the flames and put blankets over it and snuff it out.
This is effectively that. If you're not on the key lime pie train, highly recommend. We were missing out for years. Don't be like that.
I thought that we had kind of like figured it out and we're like, oh, I guess this is as good as you're gonna get when it comes to spicy food.
No.
But no, this is great.
Yeah.
You heard it here first. This delicious viscous discus, a key lime pie, is in a league of its own. And it makes a lot of sense. It checks all of the boxes that we talked about at the top of the episode. We've got acid from the lime component, sweetness and fat from the graham cracker crust, and the cool temperature of the pie itself provides a soothing sensation. To add on to all of that, it also has condensed milk, which is just boiled down milk with sugar. And on top of that sugar, it also has even more added sugar in the recipe. Sugar honestly did us a big favor here. This is because sugar directly works by neutralizing the effects of capsaicin. Some theorize that it's thanks to its ability to suppress the bitter compounds found in capsaicin, but that's just a theory. Oh, boo! We aren't there yet. But needless to say, this and nose plugs are 2 of the best spice solutions we've ever tried. Round number 4! I gotta say, I love this episode. Frozen chocolate.
I'm feeling really good going into this round. My mouth is not on fire. My lips haven't fallen off yet. I'm so excited, and I don't think chocolate is a bad contender, to tell you the truth.
You're not wrong there, Steph. Now, chocolate has a few things going for it. In this case, it's frozen, so we're gonna get a bit of a temperature relief there. It's also sweet and full of fats, both of which are gonna be working wonders on the spice. When it comes to fat, capsaicin is considered lipophilic, which is just a fancy way of saying that it gets absorbed by fat. So the more fat that's stuffed into our chocolate, the better it's gonna be. And since chocolate's essentially just milk and sugar, it also contains small amounts of casein, which is that protein in milk that helps you wash away the oil-based capsaicin molecules floating around your mouth when you eat spicy food. That's why today we're focused on using milk chocolate specifically. I love this episode already.
I know.
After round 1, I'm like, oh no, we have made a horrific mistake by overspicing these wings. But the fact that we're sitting here at round number 4 and doing fine.
We're in it, man.
We are to win it. I haven't even broken a sweat.
I love chicken wings so much, and I never get to enjoy them on this episode. I'm there.
Double. Boom.
This is working. 5 out of 10. I don't know.
One part of it is definitely from the cold. The other part of it, I'm assuming, is from the creaminess of the chocolate. But I will say, it is not dulling the spice nearly as much as the previous rounds.
No.
As soon as it's out, like, it's coming back full force. It's not weakening it at all.
Yeah.
Ooh, all right. Yeah, I'm starting to sweat now. Oh! Next round.
Let's do it.
Round number 5. Frozen lemonade milkshake thing. This is, again, my favorite episode of this series.
I feel like we have a whole bunch of winners as opposed to last time when it was so clear that we had a ton of losers.
By this point last time, we wanted to die. By this time, I actually still kind of want to die because we're consuming a lot of dessert very quickly.
I still don't feel great, but I feel better than last time, and we've yet to eject anything into a bucket next to us, which at this point is day 1.
The concept of this one should probably make sense to you at this point, right? It's got ice cream, it's got citrus, it's got dairy in there, and it's cold.
Am I going to have to buy roses
Key lime pie
again?
in the sense that it's colder. The key lime pie was like sort of generally refrigerator temperature, but this is freezer temperature, and colder is almost always better in this situation.
One of the things you keep hearing us say is this first couple rounds, right? It's like, oh, it's in the back of my throat, oh, it's in the back of my throat, oh, it's in the back of my throat. This right here, as we did in our brain freeze episode, anything with a straw is shooting it straight from the back of your throat there. This might be the best solution for that area. Let's do it! Round number 5. It continues. Frozen lemonade dessert drink. How you doing? It is super tasty.
It's a little icy, it's a little
Lavender,
less creamy.
there's one.
It is less creamy than I would have thought. Taking a bite out of a pretty structurally sound key lime pie, it's able to just hang out there until you decide to chew it, right? It's not melting, it's not going away. This, as soon as I get it in, I feel myself having to reapply it. Like, I feel like I have to move it around a bunch because it's constantly melting, turning to liquid, and running around. This is good. It's definitely our, I would say, like, second best of the food solutions.
Yeah.
But it is not quite up to par with the key lime. This one was actually kind of a surprise for us. Highly viscous options have always been the ones topping our charts, so we figured that since lemon juice did really well at neutralizing spice by adding sugar, ice, and everything nice, we have ourselves a spicy food killing machine. But instead, we found that the frozen part of the lemonade just didn't cool us down as much as the pie because it just immediately turned into water. And as we all know, water and capsaicin don't mix. So as soon as the soothing sensation of the cold went away, the spice kicked the door back in and washed itself around our mouth and made it right back home in our tongues. Round number 6, ketchup. I like that you gave us spoons, so we can just take a big old spoonful of ketchup. Wonderful. Let's go.
We are made in Canada. Homegrown, Canadian owned and operated. We're neighbors. Friends. Family. We're more than just made in Canada. We're the fabric of Canada.
0 is the most powerful number in the world. There are 6 of them in every million.
There we go.
Trade wants you to have more zeros, so they've changed the game again. With 0 commission trades.
That came out pretty cute.
New years.
3?
New memories. No passport required. Unplug and unwind in Nova Scotia with last-minute deals on Verbo. Quit smoking with crunchy
Do I have
foods?
them? I'm doing the
Yeah,
triple
right.
one.
Instead,
So I
start
guess-
stopping with Thrive.
I'm good.
Fast and easy to order custom round buttons. Our custom buttons are great for promoting your business, fundraising for a cause, or supporting your favorite political candidate.
Ugh.
The button features a smooth,
Gross.
resistant finish with a durable steel pin back. Ordering custom buttons couldn't be easier. Simply choose what type of button you want. Select
Skip.
quantity.
Oh, this sucks. So, does this make it worse for you? It makes it worse, right?
It's worse.
This one is just a prank, right, guys? It has to be. There was no way that this could be used by anybody as a spice solution. At least no one apart from Shaggy and Scooby. There you go. Trying to dull spices and ketchup, about the same level of pain that I got from watching Velma. Who would have figured that a movie starring a crime-fighting dog wouldn't adhere to proper scientific principles? Unfortunately, while the acidity of the tomato and vinegar, along with the sweetness of the sugar, should have helped to soothe us, capsaicin is hydrophobic, meaning that it doesn't bind to water-based solutions like ketchup. So all of those ingredients pretty much did diddly squat other than to make us suffer more. What must come down, friendos? And after 6 rounds, we were flying high for a while, but you knew it wouldn't be a food theory episode without a crash and burn.
Oh, we've just been kicked to the basement, friends.
That's a rough note to go off of here as we go into the final boss round, which is last dab, but that's where we're leading to next. I would say ketchup will not be making it into that final round. Speaking of that final round, there's no use putting it off. It's time for the last dab. Final boss time! Right there. We faced this puppy last time, and boy howdy, the smell is back. I'd forgotten the smell.
It is literally just like charcoal and ash and death. So in previous years, we've been able to control the amount of last dab that we're actually ingesting. This year, we've got a good, solid slather going up.
There's a reason you don't toss the wings in the last dab sauce.
It's a last dab, not a last toss.
I'm sorry. But even though we were facing down a monumental challenge, I wasn't as nervous as I usually am. This time we came prepared with all the heavy hitters. Obviously, our winners from year 1 and 2, a lime simple syrup, a peanut butter honey mix, and a peanut butter milkshake from our local ice cream shop, Goodberries. But we also threw in this year's 2 top contenders, key lime pie, and shocking literally everyone, nose plugs. All right, you want to add an additional
Add some
dab
extra
to
fluff.
your already tossed wing.
The brain.
So strap in, ladies and gentlemen. It's time to test some spicy food solutions. Maybe there's a reason Sean Evans doesn't want us on his show. Okay, there you go. Just like last year, I can't taste the flavor as much this year.
There is no flavor. The flavor is burning.
I don't know why this.
It negates the whole front part of your mouth. It's crazy. It's actually nuts. All right, I'm gonna go in with the peanut butter milkshake now.
But I am actually shockingly fine just from this alone. I could go into any of these right now to cool a little bit of what's happening here.
I'm actually gonna take this off to give these other ones a fair test. Wow, it just comes back. It's so weird. Give it a sec. And it pushes forward slowly across your tongue.
Oh, that is.
It is so weird.
That is so weird. Why does that work?
It's so much hotter. It's so much hotter.
Yep. So now that I've done them, this fine, but this was year 1. We've grown.
Yeah, this is fine. This is mid.
This is mid. This is solid.
This is top tier. Key lime pie.
I should have done black, but whatever.
Does a really nice job.
It does a real good job. So this is better because it's a little bit colder. This is better because it's not liquid, and so it's able to sit on the heat, and again, acting like a blanket, basically tamping out or smothering out the fire that's going on in your mouth. At this point, it feels really good.
I want something turquoise.
I know
Anything in that range, really.
Remember, this is a wing.
I want slits.
Yeah. And then with the additional units,
Because of the horns I've already got painted up. This could match.
It's really bad.
The only reason we're taking spice now, or at least the bulk of the spice, is because we took this off. So this plus these other ones, you're golden. But I finally got it. You ain't got nothing upon the final boss here, but there is another one that's lurking. What was that Oh! So there is one food that Stephanie and I have bonded since the very beginning of our relationship. So for those of you who don't know, Stephanie grew up in a town that has one stoplight and not a whole lot happening.
But there is one thing it has going for it, which is the world's best ice cream shop. People come from like 50 miles around to go to this ice cream shop, which is called Sunny Skies. It's run by a guy who has 2 kids named Sunny and Skylar. Yeah, it's that cute. And they're the home of the world's like first famous ice cream.
One shop has created a bizarre new flavor designed to warm you up. It's known as Cold Sweat, and it is rumored to be one of the spiciest sweets on the planet. This ice cream is made with 3 kinds of chili peppers and 2 of the hottest hot sauces known to man. This is basically a bucket of fire right here. The ice cream base itself is seasoned with even more hot sauce. Half an hour in the batch freezer turns our fire to ice, and it is about to get hot.
Ladies and gentlemen, introducing Cold Sweat. This stuff is so intense you have to sign a waiver in order to even taste test it.
They won't let you buy a scoop of it until you have fully taste tested it and come through and been like, yeah, I actually want a scoop of that.
There are actually 3 layers of protection around this stuff, right? First off, you gotta sign the waiver saying, all right, I'm on board. Secondly, they give you what's called the grain of rice test, where they literally give you a piece the size of a grain of rice. And you would think, oh, it's a grain of rice, what's the big deal? It will linger in your mouth for no less than 15 to 25 minutes. I went to the store the other day to get this in preparation for this test. And I'm like, please don't make me actually do the final test, which is the 3-pepper test. They give you a spoonful with all 3 peppers present, and you gotta take it. But at this point, we've done last dab, we've done all these spice solutions. I feel like I should be better. I did the rice the other day, the grain of rice size, just to buy this, and I don't know. This is just as hot as I remembered. They actually came up with a new flavor that's even a level above this, called exit wound, which I think honestly is a fun name, but not nearly as fun as what I would have called it, freezer burn.
Matthew's been saying this for years. I agree. It's a missed opportunity.
I'll do the thing. Oh wow, you just did it. Okay. Oh whoa. Oh whoa. Oh whoa. Oh no. Oh no! Ooh! So
that was such a small amount!
So not only is this incredibly hot and incredibly spicy,
oh man!
From a textural standpoint, it sucks because it's frozen peppers, and frozen peppers are just nasty. Okay.
Okay.
Nope, I'm feeling okay. I'm banning that. Oh, there it comes. I thought that years of me doing spicy food challenges would make me like, oh yeah, this is nothing. I clearly overestimated this when I was younger. Nope.
While any of these are in your mouth, they really do help. They really, really do. The problem with this ice cream, and I don't know exactly what it is or how they've gotten it to this level of potency, but every time anyone we know has tried even a little bit, they say that it lasts. And that's the problem. It just becomes relentless. And it doesn't last in just it's a little tickle in the back of your throat. My throat is burning.
So there you have it, friends. If you truly want a one-of-a-kind, unbeatable, weirdly hot experience, cold sweat or exit wound from Angier, North Carolina, of all things. That is a flavor experience that you're never going to replicate. Thanks there, live action MatPat. I'll take it from here. And with that, we're finally able to finish our tier list. Our top tier pick from before, Milkshake, is now bested by the absolute outstanding Key Lime Pie. In the A tier, we have peanut butter and honey. Our B tier is a whole lot of citrus with frozen lemonade, lime syrup, lemon juice, sugar water, and ice cubes. Our C, D, and E tiers have stayed relatively the same, except with the addition of perfume in D. And the worst things to ever use as spice chasers, rounding out the list, are vodka, mouthwash, and ketchup. Seriously, I'd rather guzzle the last dab than try any one of those again. I'd rather bathe in cold sweat. I don't even know if I'm talking about the ice cream or the bodily fluid. But of them all, one unexpected solution reigns supreme. In a league all of its own, nose plugs. A solution that is so powerful that it silenced the all-powerful last dab sauce. It may not be glamorous wearing nose plugs in a restaurant, but I ask you, what looks less dignified? This or this? Wait a minute, Stephanie, what if we do cold ones? Cold ice creams, even colder, harder truths. Sean Evans, you're my Mr. Incredible, and I am your Syndrome. Cold ones coming to a Food Theory channel soon. So there you have it, folks. Over the course of these 3 episodes, we've tested over 20 different spice solutions. And now we are done. No more. Nuh-uh. My stomach ain't taking this anymore. I'm not doing this again. Until, of course, it gets the inevitable reboot next year. All good trilogies do. But hey, that's just a theory. A food theory. Bon appetit. And hey, if you ever wondered if all of the extreme spicy food can kill you, well, I looked into it, and that answer is on screen right now. Click the video on the left if you're interested in spicing up your life. Or if you're interested in just how far smell can affect your sense of flavor, that video's on the right. With a really fascinating next week, if I make it.
Will you marry me?
I love you. If you remember these two, it may be time to start using Neutrogena Retinol Regenerating Cream. It can reverse 7 years of visible aging.
To be young. For the music, Post Malone. With creator and fan become one.
Wow, this is getting me. This damn. Why are you like this? Hello, Internet! Welcome to Food Theory, the show that's not here to make you cry. Whether you're a casual cook or a celebrity master chef, one common kitchen conundrum that we all know about is how cutting onions makes you cry. You have everything else ready, you grab your onion, you make a slice, and suddenly you're tearing up faster than your latest watch through of Inside Out.
Yeah, I should put him closer as a bunny.
And clearly people are sick of it, with everyone across the interwebs coming up with their own at-home hacks to circumvent the sting.
This is how to cut onions without crying.
Have you ever wondered how to cut an onion without crying? It's easy. Just take your time out.
Save your tears for another day.
Watching some of these, just look ridiculous. There's no chance that any of this stuff actually works, right? And even if it does stop you from crying, is it really worth it? Because let me tell you, I don't mind being the guy that's wearing a pot lid while preparing my food, but I'd at least like to know that I'm doing it for a reason. Which brings us to today. Today we're putting onion cutting cry hacks to the test. The good, the bad, and the ugly. And I'm not doing it alone either. I'm bringing in our food theory creative director, Santi, to go through this tearful experience with me. Just 2 men in the kitchen cutting onions together and weeping. Seems like a good bonding experience. Who's cutting onions in here? Oh wait, it's us. So do any of these have a chance of working, or are the online solutions gonna stink just as bad as our favorite root vegetable? I don't know, but we're gonna find out. Now, before we dive into the experiment, our recipe calls for 2 tablespoons of science. Why do we cry when cutting onions? Probably a good thing to know before we start testing stop that process from happening. Well, crying can result from 2 different forms of stimuli, emotional and chemical. And unless you're building up an emotional attachment to your onions before you slice them, I think we can rule that first one out, safely putting onion cutting into the chemical category. The reaction happens in the trigeminal nerve, which you might remember from our brain freeze episode. Basically, this is a massive 3-branched nerve in your head that works with your eyes, your nose, and your jaw all at the same time. The sensory endings of the trigeminal nerve can detect chemicals entering the response, but what exactly is in the onion that's causing all this irritation? To answer that, we have to go to the roots of our root vegetable here. You see, onions are grown underground, where they lay victim to any number of animals who want themselves an afternoon snack. So, to prevent getting munched on, onions have evolved to have a natural defense system. The cell walls of an onion are filled with pockets of an enzyme called alliinase. When that cell wall breaks down, like say when an animal takes a bite or a human makes a cut, these pockets rupture, causing all that alliinase to react with the onion's amino acids to create sulfenic acid. And the chain reactions don't stop there. The sulfenic acid then reacts with another enzyme to create a volatile chemical known as propanethyl S-oxide, a gas that irritates the eyes and activates the tear ducts. Basically, the onion is equipped with natural tear gas, and we set off that bomb by cutting into it. Knowing this, a proper solution to preventing us from crying needs to either protect our eye glands from getting hit with that tear gas, absorb the gas before it hits our eyes, distract the trigeminal nerve away from protecting our eyes, or somehow preventing the gas from getting made in the first place when the cell walls get ruptured. This then segues nicely into our hacks. Today we're going to try 7 of the most popular hacks that we found online, ranging from the scientific goggles to the insane. So let's just cut to the chase and cut some onions. Alright, Mr. Food Theory Expert, tell me what you got.
Alright, so right now what we're gonna do is put onions on top of a damp paper towel because it's supposed to kind of catch and absorb some of the sulfuric acid that's going to be coming out, sulfuric acid, some of the sulfur that's going to be coming out.
I feel like if it's sulfuric acid, that is a very different food that we'd be consuming.
Just a bit, but it will catch some of that and stop it from going into our eyes to cause that reaction.
Do all onions make you cry?
No, there are some variations of sweet onion that don't make you cry. They're much sweeter and don't have as much of that syrup. So, cut the root, not something that you do if you don't want to cry, but for our purposes, makes it more fun. So now we're going to take out all of this.
So I got much of a crier until I got eye surgery. And now I have a little air hole in my eye to help the contacts breathe that's permanently implanted in my eye.
Oh, God.
Yeah. And now I feel it much more acutely than I used to.
If I ever take off my glasses, it's so much worse.
Oh, wow, you're really there.
Yeah, no, immediately. No, I'm fine. This is fine. Everything's fine.
I'm not getting it. Here, let me put my eye on here. Cry, damn it. You are just dead inside. I got Thanks for noticing. It stings. Okay, there we go. Oh, there. Oh, yeah. Oh,
once you break the seal, that's it. It's over.
Now, get down here.
I mean, the more you slice and the more of those cell walls you break.
Interested in this one? Question mark.
You should cry.
I feel some juice spread. I feel like I'm not a good person to Jeffers. It didn't seem to help me.
No, did not help me. What is wrong with you, Matthew, Danica, Patrick? Jesus.
I think we can all agree based on Santi's reaction, this one was not a success. The method behind why this should work is that instead of the irritating gas getting into contact with the moisture of our eyes, it gets in contact with the moisture of the towel. The chemical then dissolves into the towel and our eyes are kept safe. Except there's one key problem with that concept. Gases tend to float up. It's not like the moisture from the towel is pulling the gas down towards it. This isn't some sort of gas magnet or vacuum. It simply goes up into the air, which is exactly where our eyes are. We'd do better cutting the onion above our heads while we duck under the counter, but that one seems a bit unsafe there. What you really need is something to catch the fumes as they're coming up to your face, which leads us to round number 2. Round number 2, bread. Yeah, that was legit. I felt really forward to it. That's really cool.
The idea with the bread is that you put it in your mouth and it kind of absorbs gases that come up from the onion into your eye. Kind of as a little film.
I thought you meant shove my mouth full of bread and...
No.
I was very confused. The way you explained about shoving bread in my mouth, I immediately thought,
The fuck? Where'd you go?
This shouldn't have worked. What?
No.
Nope, there it is.
Nothing in my scientific brain said, yeah, this will help as like a windshield, but I mean, yeah, I'm actually
You are decidedly a less soggy mess than you were in round 1. I'm telling you, at some point during this episode, I will cry.
Alright, I'm determined to make you cry this episode. Next round.
Sorry, I still got bread in my mouth. Oh, that's better. Now, I genuinely thought that there was no way that this one was going to work, but it absolutely did. The rationale behind it is that the saliva produced by the bread was drawing the vapors from the onion, redirecting it all into your mouth. But that just seems wrong to me. I think the real reason it worked was because we had a big old floppy bread slice shielding our eyes. Regardless, against all the odds, this one surprisingly worked. It also worked to make us a lot less hungry. By the time we were done cutting, we had definitely devoured at least a half a loaf between us. Nothing like putting bread in your mouth to spoil your appetite. Overall, not the most practical of options, but it was effective. Round 3 meant that it was time to up the ante. Swim goggles. If blocking the gases worked with bread, then certainly swim goggles should be able to do the trick as well. And honestly, we needed this one to work. Look at Santi over there. Man, looks like he took a one-way trip on the struggle bus.
So, I mean, this was pretty self-explanatory. You put the goggles on, the gases can't go into your eyes, and you don't cry. And since I've been the crybaby, I get to use the only pair of goggles.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you're just gonna like drown yourself in your own goggles. Okay, here you go.
Alright, vintage bunny is ready to go. I think I can get the eyes off this early. Temperature in here is pretty good.
It does look like your eyes.
Maybe I got it.
Orange when they expand your eyes.
See, this is making my nose run.
Whoopsie.
Well, gonna ask this because
It's gonna be glued anyway.
When you were doing the hot food episode, the spicy wind challenge, is should we be doing something to block our noses? Like, is this one of those times where actually wearing nose plugs might be the secret weapon again?
I mean, it does irritate your nose, but the reaction's happening in your eyes.
Yeah.
And it's happening. Let me tell you what. No, it's weird.
There
It
we
didn't
go.
help at all.
Those
No,
are
it's
secure.
like
More.
as soon as
So
I
anyway.
smelled it, the reaction started happening.
Really?
Yeah.
So it's really, really what it seems to be is that the sulfur fumes are getting up in your nostril area, and that's triggering this reaction, right?
I mean, unless this is this.
Like,
Yeah. See?
Is that that?
Yeah. There you go.
Right? Oh yeah, you're looking rough.
Yeah. My eyes are all immediately starting to water. Also, I think these like don't form a perfect seal. It's almost worse because some does get in,
And it's trapped
and it's
in
just
there.
trapped in there.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah,
In the worst possible way.
That's definitely that's really bad. It stings so much more.
This is by far your best round.
Yeah.
Huh. Oh man, I'm lucky that I don't have to experience this. Maybe the solution to all of this is just thinking happy thoughts the entire time. Happy thoughts. Happy thoughts. Happy thoughts.
Okay.
Happy thoughts. Puppies. Love puppies. Beautiful sunsets.
Yes.
Walks on the beach.
Ryan Reynolds.
Keep thinking about
Ryan Reynolds.
Think about how strong and masculine he is, similar to me. Think about how little he'd probably cry around an onion.
Yeah, it's not working.
It's not working. No.
No, but I will say the goggles made it so much worse. You know what? Here, give it to me. Ready? Alright. We're doing this.
Don't waste your money on cheap dirt. Get the real deal with Miracle Grow. Packed with essential nutrients to grow strong, healthy roots. Miracle Grow garden soil is your secret box for a healthy, beautiful garden. Miracle Grow. No better way to grow.
XL Refreshers. Do what feels fresh.
Got it. Oh, breathe deep. Okay. No? Okay. See, that's weird. I think I formed a better seal around my eyes.
I mean, well, that's probably because the goggles are upside down.
Oh, there we go. Upside down goggles.
But
That's
also,
all you needed to do.
I saw the pain and suffering in your eyes that entire time. So even though you might have felt like you were doing better,
man, I'm even sweating. What is wrong with me today?
Weird. The goggles didn't help Santi at all. I mean, I was unaffected entirely because of my pure macho masculinity, but covering his eyes with an airtight seal should have helped something. My suspicion here is that two things happened. First, that Santi didn't get himself that airtight seal, creating a form of greenhouse effect where the gas got trapped inside the goggles and then just sat there, making things a whole lot worse. And then secondly, I don't think Santi's nose was helping things. Although the reaction does occur in your eyes, the gas can also affect your sinuses, which in turn make you cry. Remember, the trigeminal nerve affects both your eyes and your nose. So what affects one definitely affects the other, which we may have seen happen in this particular case. Man, poor Santi. Dude can't catch a break, huh? Wonder what would happen in round 4. I have a good feeling about round number 4.
The fan. It should blow it all away and away from my face and just stop the sulfur from going up into your eyes. So,
although again, to be fair, this seems oddly elaborate for cutting a single ingredient.
Okay, well not all of us are immune.
Turn on your fan. Run your test.
Okay, yeah, you're right. That just had me so mad. This one, a little bit.
Yeah, there's a few things on the spare.
A little bit.
No, it's not as I was hoping. Where's the dehumidifier?
It is.
I'm finding it right now.
It's helping.
Here, can it blow it all in my eye?
Oh, come on!
Yes.
I accept the challenge. Smell that onion perfume.
I smell it. I definitely smell it. It's just drying out my eyes. Okay, Ratatouille. Here, let me get down on my hands and knees.
There we go.
Oh,
yes.
Oh, Chef Skinner, yes. Motor coating my onion.
Found it.
One of these has to work for me. Come on.
Well, without further ado, next round. You know what? I actually feel good about this round. Santi, can we put it on the roster of food theories? It's just like, what is the best gum?
I just have
I
this
requested this one about a year ago. And I feel like, you know, my 4, now 5-year-old requesting an extra food theory.
Well, I'm just gonna put another one in for safety.
Why did I quit?
I was like 5.
It's late. I'm tired.
On 6. 6 is the magic number.
Yeah, great. So you two can go through an entire pack of gum to cut a quarter of an onion. Remedy win.
No, because here's the thing, if I came in to find my mouth too, the mint goes into my nose, my eyes are not as teary. It's true. There we go. Just cook on this.
This is great. This is me showing off our great product of Theoryware right now. Part of our evergreen collection.
Small neck. I have a small jar. A very small jar.
At least gum stop the tears for a little bit.
Yeah.
But I have a lot of faith in this one. Okay, I really do. So,
Tiny stash jar.
Are we going on a field trip?
to the other side of your kitchen.
Wow. And by other side, you mean literally kitty corner to where we were.
Yes. What? Oh, that was gonna be so smooth. I was gonna press a button and it's gonna open.
Let's do it again. Here, look, we can cut it here. Let's go to the other side of the kitchen, shall we, Santi?
Let's go.
In a completely non-rehearsed way. Wow, I love this organic, authentic content here on YouTube.com.
And without even looking, yeah.
Wow, that was so smooth and completely unrehearsed.
So, the idea here is we're gonna microwave the onion for 30 to 45 seconds.
Okay.
Weakening some of the tear-inducing chemicals that come out.
Okay.
But if it doesn't make me cry, I'm calling that the win. And with that, have to listen to the whole jingle. Oh, I was not as smooth as Santi! Is it a little squish? No, it's not. It's just warm. I'll leave you with cutting this one just because. Well, make sure it's really hot. Ooh, it is hot. Jeez. Wow. 30 seconds. Oh, no, this is so much worse. Oh, this is the worst one. Yeah, I smell this one more. I think the reason why is because you heat it up, and so what happens is you've activated the molecules, right? You've activated all the little subatomic particles. So you've activated all the molecules and all the... Yeah. Oh, God, why can't I get one? Why? I need to look further into this because I think you just have to cook the onion. Yeah, at this point. Yeah. No, totally. But there is one more thought that you have, right? There's one more that you have to test? There is one more. Can you handle it?
I don't think it works. The microwave idea? Downright terrible. Not only did it leave Santi worse than he'd been all day,
Because I know this
one's
one's
with a
food
bunch of hot onion,
safe.
which is a smell that I'm never going to get out of my house. You probably remember this from high school science class, but basically molecules move much faster when they're hot. They have themselves more energy. And also reactions tend to happen faster when there's heat around. So heat up
Fucking hot. Out. Fucker. You're fine.
We just succeeded in speeding up the whole process. Whoops. Sorry about that one, Santi. I'm just lucky I'm not going through the same tearful experience. Super dry eyeballs over here. But seeing how temperature affects the enzymes, maybe the reverse will actually work better. If heating the onions speeds up the chemical process, what if we slowed everything down?
I don't know what I dropped. It's important I'll find it again.
Santi is on the ground suffering tremendously. I move on to the final round. Frozen onion. Like I mentioned in front of the microwave, onions' cell walls are full of a bunch of water, right? So by freezing the onion, one,
Stop it. Let me go.
Oh,
stay over there for a minute.
And two, releasing or at least starting to
use
that
this
process
fabric.
happen so it becomes less impactful to your overall eyeballs. You should be able to cut the onions for longer without experiencing the tear effect. But again, I wonder, just like with the microwave, you're already doing something. Like, I don't know if I want a frozen onion in my dish, right? Like, I like fresh onions. Right, and if anything, you should make it crunchier if you want it fresh, or if you're going to cook it, it doesn't really matter all that. Is that true? Is that going to fundamentally change the nutritional value of the onion or the flavor of the onion? It shouldn't. Once it softens and comes back to room temperature, then it might be a little softer than it will be and lose a little bit of its flavor. Yeah. But if anything, that's even better if you're having it raw because it'll be a little more slow, and it's better to put in your salads or burgers. Well, there you go. A little high, but that's fine. Ooh, this is careful. This is now. Yeah, I was gonna say this is miserable. Yeah, this is much harder to cut up the block of ice. Jeez. First of all, absolutely. So this is great. This is gonna stink. As if it didn't already. Hey-o! Oh, sorry. Just try. I'm hunched over like Bertie the chef. What's going on? I can let you borrow my quality theory wear merchandise so you can experience it. You know what? Let's do it, man. No way! Yes. Oh, yeah. Okay. Let me cut up a little bit. This is insane. There you go. If you don't want to do all like the freezing it and you want to have the full flavor of the onion, the bread surprisingly was the best option, and without having to stick like half and pack of gum in the mouth. But as far as like Johnson no more tears level, you have to freeze your onion. You're just gonna lose some of the flavor. But if you're just planning on cooking with it, chuck the onions in the freezer 20-30 minutes before you go. And I mean, look at this. Look at this. This is nothing. I feel like Scarface in the kitchen, but sorry. Say hello to my little friend, and say goodbye to this episode. Santi, thanks for joining. I guess thanks for joining me. I feel like I joined you on this little excursion. Yeah, thank you for joining me on your show. Yeah, and this was a fun. I like being the straight man for a change. I did it. When we do part 2 of this with your recommendations, I'm gonna find a way to make you cry. Usually I'm the guy who's like, wow, 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 wow. It's great. This is nice. Science worked. Go figure. Cooling everything down meant that the chemical reaction happened slower. It didn't stop the process altogether, but it slowed it down enough to give Santi more time to chop. Sure, the texture of the onion wasn't the greatest, and it did lessen the flavor of the onion overall, but hey, if you're gonna be cooking the thing anyway, this was far and away the best method that we tested today to stop the tears. And yet, even though we were done with our tests for the day, one thing still bothered me. Why was I a immune. I mean, obviously it's because I'm either one, awesome, or two, dead inside, but I wanted to know why there was such a massive difference between our reactions. Presumably this should be affecting both of our eyes roughly equally, but no. And I was getting real up close and personal with those onions to try and get something, anything to happen to me. So what was my problem? Well, take a look at Santi. He wears glasses. Me, meanwhile, I wore contacts for nearly 20 years. And just a few years ago, I had an eye surgery done called ICL, or intraocular contact lenses, which is kind of like LASIK, but it's actually better. Instead of cutting away a part of your eye to try and correct your vision, here they implant a removable contact lens inside your eye. It is great. It works so well. My eyes were starting to have real problems with contacts towards the end of my using them, but with this surgery, I see great, I feel great, my eyes have no more issues. I feel like I really don't have to worry about my eye health anymore. It has been life-changing. But, as you might imagine, 20 years of poking my eye with my finger and then going and getting eye surgery on top of that, it's made the nerves in my eyes less sensitive. In fact, a quick bit of research tells us that people that have had eye surgery are likely to experience a loss of corneal activity. When nerve endings feel something, they send signals to our brain, which then prompts the body to react. But if the nerve endings aren't as sensitive, well, then there's a lesser or even no reaction. What that means is that during our experiment, when the propanethyl S oxide comes into my cornea, my nerves aren't as reactive. They aren't as affected as someone with higher corneal sensitivity, so my brain isn't telling my body to generate tears and remove the chemicals. Whereas Santi not only has full sensitivity, it also seems like he has a higher than normal sensitivity. According to him, he tears up from just watching someone putting in a contact lens. It means an actual irritant in his eye, like onion gas? Yeah, that's gonna be doing a number on him. There you have it, my friends. Instead, onion crying is on a case-by-case basis. That said, we did find ourselves two surefire solutions. One, freeze the onion for a bit. Two, apply for expensive eye surgery. I'll let you be the judge which one's right for you. But hey, that's just a theory. A food theory. Bon appetit.
Put that on the bottom. And you.
So we are the first ever sensory-friendly restaurant in Canada. So we hire neurodivergent talents. We also create an inclusive space for everyone to dine in.
Told me to stay away from Golden. He's been pestering him since he arrived.
I know. Love that one.
Hello, friends, and welcome to another video. Today, I'm going to be running a viral croissant bakery. That's right, I said croissant. Now, I like croissant, and at this point, who doesn't? The quintessentially French crescent-shaped pastry is not only super delicious and iconically flaky and buttery, but also in recent years has become something of an internet darling.
Are you going to finish that croissant?
Croissant.
Croissant. From anime to Neutron to Vine to TikTok, the people love croissant. And even though I have always loved the taste of croissants, that huge pack of croissants from Costco just hits different, I am surprised by how much stick the product has in the public imagination. As not only is it a highly memed food, it's also the basis of tons of super popular viral foods, like the giant croissant, the croissant donut or cronut, the croissant waffle or croffle, the croissant bomboloni or cromboloni, and the croissant cookie or crookie. And not only do people wait in line for hours to try these delectable creations, but there's also a ton of content out there of people kneading, rolling, garnishing, baking, decorating, slicing, munching, and crunching these beautiful pastries. Maybe that's partially why these things are so popular. The croissant is notoriously difficult to make, but every step of the process is pretty satisfying to look at. And then after just one crunch, it's gone. And after falling down a cronut hole of croissant content, I thought, I gotta try and make some f***ing croissants. And in our quest to learn the craft behind oddly satisfying niche small businesses, running a croissant bakery seemed right up our alley. And in my search for a willing bakery, we stumbled upon Black Box Bakery, a pastry shop in Denver that specializes in unique, colorful, flavorful croissants that gain notoriety for their crazy filled croissant cubes. And against all odds, they agreed to let me take over their bakery for a day, and both learn to make some croissant, as well as make some custom croissant cubes of my own, that if you guys go there in person, you'll be able to try out for yourself. No vote yet on whether or not we're calling them cubes, but I'll do my best. Alright, so let's go and make some croissant. Before we head off, I do want to give a quick shout out to the sponsor of this video, Headspace. If you're like me and have an overactive brain with basically a scrolling For You page inside of it, filled with your Google Calendar, to-do list, email inbox, and the occasional flash of croissant, you might benefit from some Headspace. Now, if you haven't heard of it before, Headspace provides a huge library of different content, from guided meditations to other self-care practices, to help you decrease stress, increase mindfulness, and take care of your mental health. Now, I've historically not been that good at meditating, so I was a little unsure at first if Headspace would work for me, but Headspace has such a variety of different programs to choose from that even with just a few minutes a day, I can do breathing exercises to feel more grounded, or a quick 5-minute meditation to refocus and feel more productive. And my favorite, and honestly the thing that I use the most on Headspace, is their huge catalog of sleepcasts. As you guys can tell, I watch a lot of content, and while I can spend hours doom scrolling in bed, it's not the best way to fall asleep. And Headspace's sleepcasts are a great way to occupy my wandering brain instead of having my phone in my hand. Tyler and I love the Beachcomber and Evening Tidecasts, and you can even hear YouTube ASMR legend GB narrating Whispering Pines. So if you think some Headspace could be helpful in your life, we've partnered with them to offer viewers of this channel a 60-day free trial of the app, so you can try it out completely for free. All you have to do is sign up with my link in the description or scan the QR code on screen. Somewhere on screen. And who knows, a common crunchy croissant sleepcast could be next. So with that, thanks again to Headspace, and now, on to the croissant. Now, the first step in our croissant quest was to get to Denver. Interestingly, Denver seems to be some kind of croissant hotspot, which I did not know before doing research for this video. I haven't spent a lot of time there historically. As some of you guys may remember, we got to spend about 30 minutes at Denver's Union Station on our train trip across the country. But where the croissants are, I go. So there we went. All right, so we're here at the Edgewater Public Market in Denver, Colorado, outside of Black Box Bakery, and we're about to go in there and make some frickin' croissants, people. And when we arrived, Black Box's founder and master baker Ariel was waiting for us, ready to slap me in an apron and whip me into shape.
All right, so uniform first.
And right off the bat, I was feeling super professional in my assigned chef jacket and corresponding apron.
Okay, I was worried. I'm gonna get you a towel too.
Oh, a towel. One thing you can't do is give me a prop or costume, because I will fall into character right away.
You look food competition show ready right now.
All right.
Really, you do.
Let's go. Where is the lamb sauce? But even if my appearance said otherwise, I was still a complete pastry noob. So we had to start at the very beginning, with our plan being to first make a traditional butter croissant from scratch so I could learn some of the fundamentals, then make one of Black Box's signature viral croissant cubes, and after that, once I had a little more knowledge, make a custom crube of my own. And step one of our croissant making journey was mise en place,
Exciting.
or measuring out all of our ingredients.
It's kind of perfect height for you because I can't reach that.
Oh.
Okay, this is what I'm here for. Yes.
Which, to make croissant dough, meant we had to measure out a fair amount of milk, then some bread flour on wheels.
Two bread, too furious.
Bread drift, which gives your baked goods a little more structure and chewiness compared to all-purpose flour. A lot of all-purpose flour does go in there too, though. Yeast, sugar, salt.
So we have life down here. You mean up here? Up here. A mile high in the air.
And a fair amount of butter. And unlike with some other dough recipes, croissant dough overall needs to be cold for most of its construction, so these things are going to be going in and out of the walk-in / freezer.
I do like these flaps. It feels like a 70s bedroom.
Now, Black Box Bakery is actually a space-themed bakery, because not only are the pastries out of this world good, their goal is to push the boundaries of baked goods and experiment with new and unique takes on the classic pastries we all know and love.
We took it in a way that space is infinite. I mean, there's a lot of things to be discovered. We kind of feel like we can do that with pastry, where we just want to go on an adventure and see what we can get.
They are also apparently very into aliens and conspiracy theories.
Conspiracy bakery. Yeah, so that's just like fun for us.
People in Denver are very serious about their conspiracies, I've heard. Conspiracies and croissants.
Where's the Denver airport box?
Yeah, exactly.
And airport conspiracies. Don't forget those.
I mean, the horse is haunted. He killed his creator, yes.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, so that's not a conspiracy. It actually happened.
That's true. That's true, okay.
Yeah.
And even though Black Box Bakery is by all accounts a funky bakery, Ariel and her team are all highly sense. In order to push the boundaries of croissants, you have to be good at making croissants. And all this combined has led them to such creations as the sweet potato croissant ice cream cones, the eggnog cruffin, the Cheez-It croissant, and the mishmish. No word yet on what that is exactly, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Basic croissants first, trip to pastry 51 later. So with all of our ingredients measured out and our butter cubed to satisfaction, or rather, hinged to satisfaction.
Butter henge? Butter henge. It kind of fits into the conspiracy theory. What is the meaning of Stonehenge?
It was finally time to mix all of our ingredients together in this giant industrial mixer.
Hello. Just open and dump? Okay.
Controlled dumping.
Control dumping, yes.
Control dump. Let's see how we do.
And she is a pretty impressive beast, devouring all of our ingredients.
Somewhere down there is milk.
Yeah.
And then whacking them into dough.
Oh! Alright, yeah. Look at that corkscrew go.
And as this mound of dough is forming in front of me,
She do be mixing. Look at it. It looks fluffy and bouncy.
I think we were starting to face the looming question of how do I turn this blob into like a pastry?
That's pretty stretchy.
Now, croissant dough is a yeasted dough like rabbits. I would tell you it's actually super special.
It's gonna take some force. You can even saw at it a little bit. Okay, yeah, sawing is working. Yeah.
For example, if you just baked one of these lumps, it would not be a croissant, it would just become bread. It turns out the key element of the croissant is that you laminate the dough, which simplified means folding butter into the dough multiple times to create very thin layers of butter and dough. And when you put laminated dough in the oven, the butter will melt and create steam, lifting the layers apart and leaving you with billions of flaky, airy, buttery layers of croissant. And if you're a seasoned pastry chef like Ariel, you're hoping for a nice, even honeycomb structure like this. So to start our lengthy process of croissanting, I had to make sure that each hunk of our dough was shaped into a nice orb by kind of folding it under itself.
So you don't have like random pieces going everywhere? Fair enough. So what you're gonna do is basically just pull it towards yourself.
And apparently my interpretation of Ariel's instructions here included a hip thrust for some reason.
Sorry. I was trying to get into it.
And though after watching other people do this step, I do think some
Make it
of what I
big.
was doing was correct. I was just using a little too much There was just a little more lean body in my It's a nice, even little dough dudes.
Looks beautiful.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Bongos.
It was time to start flattening them into sheets.
There, a little bit better.
Little area. They're everywhere.
Now, if you watch an at-home croissant making tutorial, this is usually where the rolling pin will come out. But one of the advantages of hanging out with a professional pastry chef is that she has some serious pastry making equipment.
This is the laminator, aka sheeter. Love it. And your job is the laminator. I'm the laminator.
It's like a Denzel Washington movie.
The laminator.
This, my friends, is an electric dough sheeter, and it's gonna flatten out our dough in no time.
I feel like this is a very powerful position. You know what I mean? I'll do a little of this. Some of that.
Put it off the bunny.
Some of that checkout aisle action.
With pink horns, if it
Add a
was
little bit
not.
of flour on our humped lumps.
How's that? Even better. A little better? Yeah. Does the speed help?
We put our dough on the sheeter and started flattening.
On your walk? Is that? Go.
And I kind of think of the sheeter as like a reverse rolling pin, as it has its own pin that lowers down and a conveyor belt that moves
I
underneath
prefer these guys, so I guess I gotta paint
which
them up.
speeds the dough from one side of the sheeter to
Color
the
do I
other,
want to do?
A little to the right.
flattening it in the process.
Color the eyes. I could
Add
do
some
blue or
relatively
red.
flat sheets of dough.
I kind of want to do red, actually.
If it fits, he sits. Let's go. Onwards. Onwards.
They needed to rest and cool for a stint in the fridge, after which
Oh, yeah. He's squishy.
we were ready to whip out some slabs of butter and start laminating.
It's slabs. iPad kids be
Red
like,
sucks when it comes to painting.
Now, to
we
laminate
are
this
committed,
dough, we
apparently.
started by flattening it out even more.
skinny legend. This dough.
And then also flattening out our iPads of butter to match the thickness of the dough. And once that was done, we slapped our butter in the middle of the dough and wrapped the dough around it like a Pop-Tart.
So we basically just want the dough to meet, not overlap, right?
Right. And once we had this dough sandwich, we put it back onto the sheeter and started flattening again.
It's getting pretty long. And get longer.
Until it turned into basically a long flat scarf. Then in order to build those trademark croissant layers, we folded our scarf back onto itself, once and then twice, which quadrupled our layers of dough, butter, and dough.
Oh.
You're folding it over like a sheet.
Exactly.
Then flipping and flattening our sheet in the other direction.
There she goes. There she goes again.
And then folding it back onto itself again, this time to triple our already multiplied layers.
Layers on layers on layers.
They exist.
Layers on layers on layers.
Yeah.
And this relatively manageable stack
God, I
of
forgot
layers
about you.
is called a book, which, once it was created, had to rest in the fridge for a while before it was ready to be used.
I think you're good for your top coat.
Perfect.
But its future was not unwritten, for it was about to become a whole bunch of croissants.
Good night, sweet prince.
Now, after our book was fully rested, ready to emerge from the fridge, we then flattened it once more on the sheeter to make sure all of our layers were as thin as possible. And when it was scarf-like once again, we rolled our book twin scroll onto this rod.
Whoa!
That's awesome!
Yeah.
And then unfurled it onto our table like a beautiful, tasty roll of toilet paper.
Oh, photo finish.
Now this is where things get a little slicey, as Ariel pulled out an array of pastry torture devices, including what looked like a tandem pizza cutter.
Want to play a game?
POV, you are a pastry and this is saw.
To slice our dough into strips, and then whipped out an X-Acto knife and a ruler to cut those strips into triangles. And you do want to be pretty quick about this so all that butter in your layers doesn't start to melt.
Boom goes the dynamite. Let's go. Let's go, boys! Screaming at pastry. Things are going well. They like it, I can see.
And once we had all of our triangles, we had to stretch those out into long dough tails.
This thumb is the stretcher.
Okay.
And I'm just gonna let it go.
Like that?
Nice.
Okay, because it was finally time to roll our dough into that iconic crescent croissant shape.
Look at that. Kelp forest vibes.
Now, our idea here was to fold our croissant dough once and then twice to create the little feet on either side of the crescent, and then do a little flick to get the roll really started. Then Ariel picks up the pastry and rolls the rest with her fingers.
And close.
Nice!
Wow, look at him.
That's beautiful.
Hey.
And as pastry apprentice, I had to try my hand at rolling at least a few myself.
Stretch, fold,
Yeah.
second fold,
Yeah.
and then little.
Now, in my defense, this is not supposed to be super easy.
She ain't pretty, but she is in a roll.
Not so bad.
Yeah, not bad at all. You've seen worse. I've seen way worse. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I like to hear. And though I was officially not the worst at this, there were a couple of things that tripped me up.
Alright, Shamu's done.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah. We'll meet like here.
Besides it just being hard to keep your stretching and your spiraling totally even as you go.
Okay, that's not good, but I'm gonna keep trying.
After a long day of dough making, I was also kind of warm, and my warm fingers were actually causing some of that butter in the top layers of our croissants to melt.
I think I got hot hands. Yeah, everything's a little melty.
Leaving my croissants kind of shiny and fingerprinted, which is not ideal.
You know what they say about hot hands, right?
What is it? Bad croissants?
Yeah.
Hey, your first one was great.
But Ariel did give at least a few of my croissants a passing grade.
Shape looks good. Thanks, chef.
You're welcome.
Thank you, chef.
Thank you, chef. So, that's something. I guess we'll see how these turn out.
They don't stick out so much that from afar you could tell. It's more of a Monet situation.
It's time to expand our horizons a little bit and take on the cube. Now, I think part of the reason why cube croissants became so viral is because not only are they excited that she would show me how to make one of Black Box's signature mulled wine and chocolate crews, which sounded pretty damn good.
The next one? Next one. Here it comes.
Another.
Now, to start off, the process of making the croissant dough is the same, with the wrapping of the butter inside the dough and then flattening it and folding it time and time again. You don't need me to explain laminating again.
That's when you
I'm sure
think you've got it all,
but I
and
think
you
since
miss
these
the side
croissants
right there.
are making sure they have the flaky buttery layers of the laminated dough is the key to them still being croissants. Some haters might say they still aren't, but hey, there are always people afraid of true innovation. Am I right?
More. Give me more.
But once we had flattened out our book to Ariel's satisfaction and stopped. Rather than now cutting it into strips to roll into crescents, we rather had to roll the dough all together.
Just like that?
Yep. To create like a long rolled dough stick.
Okay, how do we feel about that? I feel good.
Great. Log vibes intensify.
Log vibes.
And then we measured out and cut our log into even little Tootsie Rolls, which will fit inside the square molds that Black Box uses and expand to become cubes.
Oh, that was awesome. I love that.
And that is all you have to do to prep the cubes before baking.
There's just a good feeling to it, you know? Like I'm just getting through something.
Because the mulled wine part will come with the fillings and the decorations. All in all, it is still a complex process with the laminating of the dough, but this part is a lot easier than the traditional butter croissant, and a lot better for someone with hot hands like me.
I'm mildly obsessed with the side.
So now for cube number 2, the custom cube. Now, Ariel and the Black Box team have made a lot of different cubes before, from birthday cubes to Fruity Pebble cubes to a full collection of Halloween cubes. So in thinking of making a custom cube together, we wanted to go for something that they hadn't necessarily done before, that wasn't full-on Halloween, but was still a little soft X Black Box branded. So like Goth Light. And I saw on their Instagram that they have experimented with a black striped croissant before, which seemed to me like a perfect sprinkling of dark aesthetic. Kind of like a little bit menacing, a little bit elegant. So we decided to go for a black and white striped cube croissant. And once again, the dough lamination process was mostly the same, with one major exception, because in order to make our black stripe, we had to bake it into our dough.
Hey, what are you doing? This is my dough hook.
It's very rich, yeah.
It's beautiful.
I need a
Hook vibes.
So we combined some dough scraps with some black food coloring in order to make a little bit of goth dough we could use.
This is the vibe. This is the vibe I was looking for.
Though in order to get the dough fully saturated,
oh my god. Oh wow. It's crazy in there.
We had to let Kinky Captain Hook have his way with it for a while.
It looks like an apostrophe. It looks like a comma.
But the results were worth the wait. And after a stint in the fridge, boom.
Take a look at this.
It was back to the sheeter to stretch our goth dough out enough so it would cover our book of laminated dough.
Boom.
And after basting our book with flour,
It's like one of those Turkish massages.
It's a hammam. Yeah, Ty, I am the burly Turkish man. This is my victim. Me. You, in the future.
It was time to send our good book through the sheeter to once again flatten, spool, unfurl, and then logify our custom dough.
This is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. The vision is Beetlejuice croissant. Supernatural, underworld vibe. Love it. Zoot zoot.
Now, after slicing, the stripes on the sides did look very nice.
Boom. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. That was like a Swiss roll.
The black dough did try and give us a little trouble by smudging near the top of our rolls, no matter what cutting method we tried.
I'm gonna sprinkle, sprinkle. I'm gonna sprinkle, sprinkle. And chop.
But a baker after my own heart, Ariel wasn't gonna let the smudges slide without a fight.
Shall I try and peel?
Yeah. And ever so gently push the black dough layer back up to make sure all of our pinstripe spirals were nice and visible.
Like, does that look okay?
Yeah,
Yeah.
solid.
Cool.
Just a little surgery. And once we had finessed every roll to our satisfaction,
I mean, it's hand massaged croissant. Let me tell you.
we packed up our goth cubes on a tray and put them into the freezer to cool overnight. Now, obviously we can't add the decorations to our cubes until after they're baked, but another key feature of the croissant cube is that they are pumped full of fillings. And Ariel and her team make all of their fillings in-house. So I guess as pastry apprentice, I had to make some too. And for our mulled wine cube, they do kind of like a holiday milieu of flavors, with a mulled wine ganache and an orange diplomat cream. Now, diplomat cream is actually a combination of pastry cream, which is a thickened custard, and whipped cream, making it kind of the perfect midpoint texture of light and yet still structured.
I promise I won't lick it. Although it is dangerously close to my mouth.
Which did sound amazing, but Ariel did also make me whisk the whipped cream by hand.
Sucks to do.
We didn't have a machine for this one, I guess.
Does it look right?
It'll be there soon.
I feel like I'm getting hazed.
And we topped this all off with some cinnamon and some orange oil to make ourselves a nice wintry citrusy diplomat. And then as for our mulled wine ganache,
Flavor from the land of my people, Denmark.
Ariel gets pretty molecular with it. Whoa!
Yeah. This is biological, baby.
And uses some straight up glucose in her recipe.
Oh my. Oh my. Oh, I love it. It looks like glass.
What the heck? Which literally looked exactly like clear slime and kind of felt like it too. Then all we needed was some heavy cream, dark chocolate, and of course our spiced and mulled wine, which we stirred together for some perfect festive goodness. We did film this in January and it is now April, but you know, Christmas can really be any time of year if you just believe. And then as for what was gonna go in our custom cubes, I personally love all flavors fresh, tea-like and herbaceous, like mint, lavender, rose, and well, tea. And Ariel makes a mean Earl Grey whipped ganache, which she suggested we pair with an elderflower flavored honey to make sort of like a London fog latte in semi-solid cream form to the face inside of our sleek black striped croissant cube. Sounds like heaven to me. Our honey we were gonna deal with today. Earl Grey ganache, Ariel once again whipped out the glucose, as well as a natural sugar trimoline.
Oh, what the heck? Way different.
What is this? Followed by some heavy cream, some nice Earl Grey tea bags.
Oh, we're making a tea king here.
Yes, like a rat king, but it's tea.
I like that. Alright.
And a generous helping of white chocolate chips. And to really make the flavors pop,
Do we need salt? Yes.
in here,
Yes.
Just need the horns in him.
That was your final test.
see, I was finally becoming a useful pastry apprentice.
That happened.
Love it.
Love it.
Also, shout out Stick Blender that made an appearance to combine all our ingredients together and really made me feel like I was back in a soap art tutorial.
This is gonna taste good. I feel like there's been so many steps with these croissants, I forgot they're gonna be delicious.
We've been working.
Steps, yeah.
We've been working for it, baby. And that is Earl Grey ganache, baby, which needed to set overnight, so it would be ready to mix with some cream tomorrow.
That's it for today, folks.
Boom goes the dynamite. So with our dough laminated, croissants rolled, and fillings prepared, it was time to call. So the next morning we arrived at Black Box Bakery, ready to bake, deco, and then finally eat some croissants. And Ariel had taken all of the croissants we were and taking a look at our croissants the next morning, some of mine did look kind of funky, but a few were flying under the radar.
Ariel thinks this one has potential, and then also maybe this one.
I know it's not quite matching, but I do like the darker with the lighter color.
In the same place, huh?
Inside the stomach.
There is this whole intermittent phase. It felt good.
But before we could put our croissants in the oven, we had to proof them.
I didn't make enough today. This is my third day.
Oh yeah, it's warm.
Warm and moist.
It's warm and moist.
And the
I
idea
only got one more day to work.
let the dough rest so the yeast inside can do a little fermentation action and release some gas to make the dough rise.
Ooh, that one's huge.
And after a little proofing, these guys did look bigger and jigglier.
Do this side to side was good.
Like this? Ooh.
Yeah.
And then we gave them one final farewell squish
They're kind of bubbly.
That's good.
Okay.
Let's yeast activity.
Okay.
before popping these bad boys in the oven.
Let's go, boys. All right. Let's see. Let's see what happens.
Now, as for our cubes, they're actually proofed inside of their square molds.
I'm gonna take these chunkies, put them in these molds.
I love it.
Because we definitely want the dough to expand, but we don't want them to get bigger than the molds.
Otherwise, if they get too big, they'll explode.
Yeah, I don't want that.
Yeah.
We don't want that.
But once they were proofed to Ariel's satisfaction,
They look a little bit bigger. I'm not gonna lie.
They're yeasty.
Full of yeast.
Yeasty boys.
we put our lids on all our square molds,
A fortress.
and then it was into the oven with them as well.
Okay. All right, let's see how that goes.
I have faith.
All right. I'm feeling good.
Now, obviously our cubes are inside molds, so there wasn't much to see while they were in the oven, but here's our attempt at a satisfying butter croissant baking time-lapse. Please ignore us running around in the background trying to build a blockade to block out the reflection on the oven, but after a bit, they were looking nice and crispy, and somewhat shapely.
Like, these look good.
That looks okay.
That one, that one.
That was okay. This is interesting. That one went crazy.
There were a couple of our croissants that we thought were really cute.
This one's great.
A fair amount of them were strange enough shape that they were going to either become ice cream cones or almond croissants where they get smushed and then covered in almonds.
Just slather them in almonds, and then you can't even tell.
Right? The only one that might be a true flop is this one in the corner.
I mean, this one could be like a Demogorgon one. You know, it could almost
That
be.
one's a little raw.
Yeah, like a Stranger Things collab, right?
But we're not going to talk about him. Once our cubes were ready, we popped them out of the oven as well and then out of their molds.
Ta-da! They smell so good.
And although they didn't have the sharpest edges that Ariel likes to see, they were certainly cube-ish and buttery.
It looks like an adorable sushi roll.
Yeah, it does look like a sushi roll.
I was thinking that the black on top like almost looks like seaweed.
Yeah.
So they were certainly good enough to go for our prototyping purposes.
You see the layers? They look really nice.
Yeah, the curlicue, the spiral is awesome.
Yeah.
And with everything out of the oven, our next step up was to decorate our croissants. For the butter croissants, that just meant a quick shower of simple syrup.
We kind of squeeze it so it does like a aggressive shower,
which I thought was going to be more gentle.
I feel like I'm done for today. I'm really tired.
Yes.
But ended up being more of a monsoon of simple syrup.
Nice.
Nice?
Okay, that's it.
And then we had to decorate and fill our 2 cubes, which was a little more of a complex process.
Yeah, I think I'm done for the night.
Decorating master extraordinaire was going to be teaching me her ways.
I like to do 5 holes. So one in the center.
I don't care. Alright, well, if you stopped by my live stream today, thank you for stopping by. Thank you for saying hi. Thank you for the thumbs up. And you guys enjoy the rest of your night. Good night.